Oh shit. We back, baby. Took an edible, now you're locked in. You are locked in the basement. Oops. What's up, y'alls? Y'allses. Deepwood's about to go absolutely crazy. This is true. The dark web was sadly a failure. So these ones... The dark web was... It's so Jover, and now we're so back. We're so snack. We're getting a snack. When you ask mom if you can get M&Ms, she says no. It's so Jover. When you get home and she lets you have banana crisps, we're so snack. They're gonna start using weather modifications as a weapon. Wanna bet? See what happened to Dubai? I mean, Dubai had some crazy rain, but I mean, why would they target Dubai with a weather modification weapon? What? Who pro bono, or whatever it is? Who benefits? My mom's an almond mom. It was never fast food unless it was a road trip. Yeah, I kind of wish I had an almond mom, to be honest. It's probably way better for your long-term health, or at least your establishing of like your body and what it metabolizes and all that kind of stuff. Childhood obesity, all that kind of bullshit. I much would have rather had somebody that actually like watch that rather than just like let me eat ice cream and soda every day. No, they didn't target him, but now they see what can happen. What's they used a science fiction weapon to control the weather to test? Wouldn't they just test it like not directly over a city? Galactic Bitch, welcome back for 20 months. His life is hard, but Let's Read makes things better. Hope you're all doing okay. Thank you. We're doing A-okay. And we're about to make your night 100 million times better. Hey, Jinli, good to see ya. Oh, and I see Vixa. What's up, Vixa? A long time no see. Am I excited? What am I excited for? Christmas? Christmas in May? I asked my boss if I could be permanent at my web dev job, and he gave me a, "You're doing great so far. We'll talk next month. Keep going this way" speech. I feel the need to have a business or YouTube. Yeah, you know, it's always good to diversify your options in life, you know what I mean? Because asking a manager, unless, you know, depending on their position within the hierarchy of the business, you know, you can't, like, whoever's above him is probably going to come up to him and be like, hey, you need to hire somebody to be your permanent guy. And honestly, at the end of the day, everybody who works for themselves tends to be substantially happier than, you know, someone who has to answer to a machine. The yapper is here. I'm excited. I am excited, Liz, for the yapping. The Yappening by MJ Hulahoff. What's that guy's name? Shimalama Ding Dong. We need to know if you're excited. Also, how do you feel about French troops in Africa? We need to pump those numbers up. We need more. We need them there like stormtroopers, monitoring every cantina in sight. Perfect time making chicken strips and fries. Damn. That sounds delicioso. What if I am the machine? It's the goal. That is your goal in life. To become not a part of the machine, but the tippity top of said machine. Imagine how cool the people who invented money are, you know? They invented it and then it kind of comes from them. It's like unlimited power. Time to rage against. Almond mom equals eating disorder. -10, 10. Really? Oh, I guess, yeah, if they're on your ass all the time about what you're eating, then yeah, you're like hyper thinking about stuff like that. Wish you could go back to trading. Hey, there's nothing really stopping you from, you know, doing trading and stuff like that. Like, obviously it wouldn't really work in this economy, but you could go, I don't know, live in a desert in Kazakhstan or something and be a, you know, trade the wool of your yak. Isn't the Fed Reserve private? I think so. I think that's just like 5 privately owned banks. But then I've also heard that they've borrowed money from people above them as well, which has got to, I don't even know how that whole hierarchy works. I can only imagine how powerful you must feel whenever the Bank of the United States borrows money from you. Why can't we just print more money? Well, because then it makes all the other money worthless. Because if you have one banana and then you split it into 50 little slices, that's not going to fill your belly as much as one whole banana is, even if you call all of those little slices one banana. There's a saying in Dutch that says there will always be a sad person after a trade. That's true. To make it out the other end, it has to be like a mutually beneficial, symbiotic relationship. You have an almond daughter. Nice. That's her choice, only eating almonds. Or maybe she's composed of, you gave birth to an almond. Banana money theory. Yeah. The most comprehensive economic theory you can get. Hey, David, thank you for the 1. What's up, Margaret? Heard your voice on Lazy Masquerade video about the maze house. Nice, yeah. Lazy Masquerade. I would like to thank Let's Read for featuring his voice on today's topic. You got paid, you get taxed, you took that money to buy something, you got taxed again. The person you bought it from just taxed. I know, dude, I see it. I saw that short too, and it is unfortunate, you know? We used to fight. And I think that's the weirdest thing, is like so many people argue over like cultural things, but nobody really ever takes a second to think like, the only time I've ever had any sense of like actual autonomy or control in my life is whenever I had more money, you know? And it wasn't money that like was handed to you, because obviously that's, you know, if everybody gets it, then it's, you know, not worth as much. But yeah, it does suck. I don't really know. I don't know how you change those types of things, because when you really take a second to think, like sometimes you think about the government being like this all-encompassing like godhead figure that like watches over everything you do and has your best interests in mind, but really it's just like this ever-changing exchange of people who are like more or less like parasitic. They want to get in there and then they get paid because, you know, you can just bribe them, and most of them are most likely going to take the bribe because it's better than the alternative. Dr. Jumpy, welcome to the Butter Sock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Thank you. He'd like Ozark on Netflix. What's that about? How's Kitty Cat doing? He's good. He's currently not down here. He's up in his beddy. Do you believe money can buy happiness? I believe money can buy a jet ski. Never seen anybody sad on a jet ski. Yeah, I mean, you are going to be in a better position in life. I mean, there's little moments about life that you're going to look back on, and, you know, if you were like a doctor and you spent your entire life grinding at work all the time and trying to be the best doctor and get respect and stuff, then you forgot about your family, that would suck. But yeah, it's, if you won $10 million, it's probably better than working at a grocery store, you know, if that's something you don't really like doing. Any Bigfoot stories? Tonight, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Your word game says shart isn't a word. It's bullshit. Obviously, they've never seen my underwear. Money can buy you time. You can choose to take that time to do better things. This is true, yeah. At the end of the day, even with a lot of money, you still have to like have the motivation to pursue the things that you... Well, sometimes you don't even know what it is that's going to bring you joy, you know? And so you kind of go through life with what you're familiar with. You almost like need some like external stimulus to push you in the right direction. I almost feel like it's probably a beneficial thing to just like ask as many people that you know, like what makes you happy. And then if they say something you've never tried before, then go do it. Yeah, money can buy you a lobotomy. I'll do it for free. We would have to go to war if we wanted to change it, but we're all too comfortable but to be that desperate right now, but it's coming in hot, yo. I guess, is that, not trying to stick up for that power structure, but isn't that kind of a good thing? Where we're like all too comfortable to do anything about the things we are frustrated about? Isn't that interesting, you know? Doesn't that mean that you've achieved like a homeostasis where you're not like in a state of discomfort? I'm not saying it's perfect, but it almost makes you wonder like, well, if I'm too lazy to get up and do anything about it, that must mean it must not be that pressing of an issue, you know? As a group, we could do a lot. That's true, yeah. We're much better at working in systems, but just be prepared to be painted out to be a naughty do-badder. Or the most beneficial thing humanity could do is be compassionate, be present, and be quiet in the mind. That's all you can do. Start with you, and maybe people will see how you are, and they'll be like, wow, they're so compassionate and present and quiet in the mind. I want to be just like them. If you're going to animate, you should go to the animators from Wartime Stories. Let's see. Wartime Stories. Oh, I've seen this channel. I don't think they do animations, do they? Just still frames. Which are still cool. I like that they set I think that's really a cool approach. Nick Bryant, welcome back for 14 months. Thank you for all to do, big dog. Thank you. Thank you, Nick. Good to see you. And thank you for 14 months. It's crazy. My mind is many things, but quiet isn't one of them. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's almost impossible to actually, like, quiet your mind. I mean, maybe it's possible to, like, take some deep breaths and mitigate its activity. Or, like, lower the threshold of anxiety. You said edit the word Tanzania 75 times. What happened there? I don't know. I think I kept calling it like Tanzia or something like that. And then we said it so many times that it was like incorrectly pronounced that I had to like go back in and just like insert it everywhere because it was just ridiculous. Took the day off from free weights and my shoulders are definitely feeling it. I took the day off. Nice. Quiet your mind by doing something physical. It's a meditation. That's true, yeah. Whenever like I have something tangible in front of me that I'm working on, it's like way easier for me to feel a sense of like ease. And it definitely seems like humanity is supposed to be doing something physically active, whatever that might involve, whether you're like whittling some wood or throwing around big weight. It's hard to think about your problems whenever you're trying to squat 500. The second you do, your knees will buckle. I can finally do pull-ups now without my girlfriend holding my legs from losing fat. That's impossible if you're overweight. Yeah, it's pretty hard, you know. Like, you might be able to, like, build up your strength and then gain weight and still be able to do it, but it's definitely difficult if you've never done it before and have been pretty big. Doesn't mean you can't build up to it, but one thing I saw online that was sweet, it was like, if you want to get good at pull-ups, maybe you can try this and see how it goes. But you, so you get up on the bar, you hang for 5 seconds, and then you pull yourself above the bar, head above the bar like a chin up, and sit there and hold that, just contracted, hold that for 10 seconds. And then after that 10 seconds, like slowly lower yourself down for a 5-second negative, rest for a minute, and repeat that 10 times, you know, so it's going to be like 25 total seconds of like work, or like, what is it? Yeah, 20 seconds of work and 1 minute of rest. It's pretty rough. Amy, thank you for the 2. Says Betty Beagle is slowly feeling better. That's good to hear. All the dogs be healing. My dogs are screaming. I did inverted rows with the table to build up to it. Oh, okay, that's smart. It's like the reverse of bench, which is awesome. I also painted up the props I've been meaning to do since February. Came out better than I hoped. That's good. You got a new sleep schedule? That's awesome. That's what I'm trying to do here. Stream a little bit earlier tonight, because I've been starting to feel my sleep schedule like eke back towards not so good. Do you do narratives from emails? I sent a true ghost story last week, not expecting to read it. Yeah, usually that's where it is gone to. Also, I would say I do paranormal stories like one out of every 10 videos comparatively, so it might be, it's hard to say if it will get picked, you know what I mean? Rough. Do I live in a place in the woods? Yeah, I got like a little shack. It's just a bunch of leaves stacked against a tree, teepee style, but it's got good Wi-Fi. Zen mood. I'm glad to hear it. I lost my Bluetooth earbuds and I've been able to listen to your videos during work. Shit. We gotta find them. Oh, asked to where to send a story. Yeah, let's read submissions at gmail.com. It should be listed in all the videos too if you forget. But yeah, also reddit.com/r/let's read official. What's up, polar bear? And the only way you get through work. Yeah, it's good. Fuck work, dude. Make someone else do it. You have to be up for your job at 5:36 from being... Well, that's good. I think you'll really like that schedule. On your days off, you'll probably wake up around then and just kind of feel like you got the whole day ahead of you. Oh shoot, 10 seconds here, guys. We'll kick it off. Thanks for being here. Click like, click share, all that good stuff. Like I said, we're reading some deep woods stories. So get locked in. We're about to get spooky. Freaking spooky, dude. Dr. Jumpy with the 5 says, I have a story. You died... yeah. Yes. Yep. Answered that. Yep. Let's read submissions at gmail.com. Thank you for the 5. Appreciate you. And thank you for sending your story in. Deep in them woods. We're balls deep. In the forest. The enchanted forest. Gonna build a small house in the middle of the woods. What do you prefer, A-frame or double story? You gotta do the A-frame. Do you like camping? I should download some of these for upcoming camping trip. You know, I like glamping, honestly. I have nothing really against camping itself, but like after one day of sleeping in the woods, where it's creepy and you don't know if like somebody or a fucking bear is gonna drag you out of your tent, especially if like something about it feels a little bit exposed, it's not very fun to me. And then yeah, dealing with bugs and just generally being covered in stink. But, you know, it's fun to do. Stayed in a yurt, that's sweet. Alright. Thanks for being here again, guys. We'll kick this schmoff. We'll kick this schmosh. We got 3 stories tonight. Oh my goodness, Polar Bear, thank you for the 5 gifted subscribers to Aeon Surat, Elvis, Press Play, Miss Bunny, Christine B, and Iris. Welcome, friends. You guys now have access to bonus content. And I do hope that we can get, we're getting close to finishing up part 3 of the Western horror, Oh Death, they've been working through. My name is Andrew. I'm 33 years old, and I've been living in Idaho for the last 3 years. For transparency's sake, I didn't write up this account specifically as a submission for your channel, but after it popped into my recommended feed and I saw you taking submissions, I figured that I'd found the perfect home for the warning I'm about to give you and your viewers. Although I have no doubt that what you're about to read might frighten or disturb you, I can assure you that it's not by design. My only wish is that you and your subscribers take heed to what I'm about to say. So you see, I think there's someone living off the grid up in here. Whoops. Beaverhead Deer Lodge National... Okay. Wait, Galactic, what are you talking about? The message might not have shown up if it was something negative. You see, I think there's someone living off the grid up here in the Beaverhead Deer Lodge National Forest, and I know for a fact that this person is very, very dangerous. Part of the reason I moved up to Boise... Is it Boise? Part of the reason I moved up to Boise, make sure I'm saying that right, from my native California. Boise, Idaho, okay. Last time I went camping, I found out someone had drowned in the pool 20 feet from the yurt I stayed in. Didn't sleep well that night. Oh, that sucks. I remember my friends went to Mexico to do some snorkeling, and like, they said that in the last, you know, tour or whatever they were doing, some guy had a heart attack in the water and then drowned. Like, just before they got there, too. And they're just like, all right, get his body out. Next, we gotta move on. Part of the reason I moved up to Boise from my native California, aside from all the financial reasons, is that there's a total of 10 national forests within driving distance of the city. I was a Boy Scout growing up. My dad and uncles used to take my cousins and me during summer vacations, and I found a group of fellow college students to hike with when I was at UC Irvine. So when it came time to choosing a place to start a new life, Boise climbed my wish list pretty damn quickly once I realized that it combined urban amenities, a low cost of living, and the kind of natural beauty that made Southern California feel more like Manhattan than Malibu. During the first year in Idaho, I Spent a lot of time hiking Boise National Forest and the Snake River Conservation Area in... That's a separate thing, okay. Boise. During that first year in Idaho, fuck. During that first year in Idaho, I spent a lot of time hiking Boise National Forest, and the Snake River Conservation Area is right on our doorstep, too. But then, as time went by, I started to travel a little further afield with each trip, just to get a feel for all the different forests in the region. I drove over to Sawtooth one time, went up to Payette for... oh, fuck. Payette. Then went as far as Bitterroot, Salmon Shalley, okay. I drove over to Sawtooth one time, went up to Payette for a weekend, then went as far as Bitterroot and Salmon. Fuck. What is this? Bitterroot or Bitterroot? I drove over to Sawtooth one time, went up to Payette for a weekend, then went as far as Bitterroot, Salmon Shalley, and then eventually Beaverhead Deer Lodge. I made multiple trips to each of the previously mentioned parks. I mean, you don't truly get to know a place after just one or two hikes, but I only ever made one trip to Beaverhead, and if I ever do get over my fear of the place, you can bet your ass I'm staying the hell away from the hills between Maverick and Stewart Mountains. And if you value your life, so should you. Now, in the southern portion of Beaverhead Forest lies the valley between Maverick and Stewart Mountains. At its westernmost point, where two creeks meet, the valley is open and treeless. But then travel further east and the trails taper off into what I can only describe as a capillary system of narrow trails. It kind of reminded me of one of those old hedge mazes, like the kind from The Shining, just on a much bigger scale. All the trails look pretty much identical, with wide open grass trails and pine-covered hills obscuring your view on either side. You can't really get lost these days, not if you're armed with the correct skills and equipment, but if there was ever a place I felt slightly disoriented by the lay of the land, it was there. You'd make a couple of turns, think that you were back on the main strip again, and then boom, the trail would narrow off and you'd find yourself at a dead end. I guess to a less experienced hiker that might have been a cause for concern, but for me, it was almost nostalgic. I hadn't been even close to lost for coming up on 15 years by that point, so for me there was something almost thrilling about it. It's been years since I felt that same sense of adventure while out on a hike. I also enjoyed them, but I'd long since lost that sense of childlike awe and wonder. So to have it back, that was really something. I kept on exploring for about an hour or so, just wandering up and down the trails to try and familiarize myself with that part of the valley. Then, as I was moseying down this one particular set of... We want pizza so badly, don't we all? I went to Red Lobster with family earlier, and it's so fun. I'm fairly certain they charge you for a side salad now, and everything's so expensive. But I also heard that they are filing for bankruptcy or something this week, or did, and that a lot of the stores are shutting down across the United States. Which is perfect, because then we can free all the lobsters back into the local ecosystem. Then, as I was moseying down this one particular stretch of trail, I began to smell something that smelled a lot like campfire smoke. For quite a while now, I've been in the habit of introducing myself to any fellow hikers and campers I might run into. Some might call that intrusive or even bothersome, but to me, those are big city ideas. I understand where my critics are coming from, but at the risk of sounding melodramatic, the woods aren't the kind of place that you want to go unnoticed. Part of it's just being friendly, shooting the breeze with some kindly strangers, but there's a practical side of it too. I do a lot of solo hiking, and as much as I take all the necessary precautions, I'm still much more vulnerable than most. I like folks knowing I'm there, and I like knowing just a little about who I'm sharing a trail or park with. That way, if I detect even the slightest of bad vibes, I can make myself scarce before trouble so much as toots in the wind. And so, I smell the campfire smoke, and I suspect it's coming from up the hill to my right. I wander up the slope a little, and then, lo and behold, the smell of smoke... Cock. Red Lobster's disappointing. It is. Honestly, like I said before, I'll take the biscuits for days. They should just make a whole meal. It's just like 50 biscuits. Or all-you-can-eat biscuits, and that's it. Honestly, what if that was what, like, recouped all of their losses? Just an option that's just endless biscuits, and it's, I don't know, $20. Just sit there and eat fucking bread. Biscuit basket, yeah, dude. I mean, granted, that's what they give you, and they give you like 10 and, 7 to 10 in each one, which does fill you up, but yeah, it does suck. COVID and its consequences has destroyed this country. It's already endless biscuits. Yeah, but they would have to market it in a way that seems invaluable, you know what I mean? That seems like like, you would have to take the social stigma out of just eating only that, But I guess that would be kind of weird. You just show up and eat bread. I wander up the slope a little, and then, lo and behold, the smell of smoke gets more and more intense the further I walk. And so off I went, following the smell like some human bloodhound until eventually the pines thinned out and I reached a kind of treeless shelf on the hillside. It was almost completely hidden from view, and just as I was thinking, this is flat enough to build on, I realized someone already had. About 50 yards away, someone had built what looked like a small 2-room cabin, complete with the beginnings of a little vegetable garden out front and a short weave fence making the property's boundary, marking the property. My first thought upon looking at it was, this can't be legal, because as much as many national parks and forests might encourage overnight campers, any kind of permanent dwelling is strictly prohibited. But at the same time, this person's dwelling was an impressive piece of work, and it obviously wasn't constructed overnight. In which case, how he had managed to stay up there so long without getting himself into trouble with the Wait, was that a question? Oh, it was a question. How long are we into the stream? This has been 34 minutes so far. You always like seafood. It was weird though. Today I got some like lobster tail. And honestly, like I remember lobster was always like really expensive, And I guess it makes sense because that's not just laying around wild in the plains of Pennsylvania, but it just, no sound. Oh, it should be good. Wait, testing. Yeah, I see the thing going. It's your lobsters. There's sound. Okay, thank God. Remember last time the program like fucking shit out on us, and then I clicked on some stuff and then it permanently stuck me in the be right back screen. Thankfully we were towards the end, but that was so weird. But yeah, I feel like lobster's kind of, it's not, it just, I don't know, it's like a weird thing. It almost makes me wonder if like normal bug meat is the same way. In which case, how had he managed to stay up there for so long without getting himself into trouble with the Forest Service? All this is going through my head, and I'm just sort of staring at the little cabin in amazement when, all of a sudden, the cabin's front door swings open, and out steps a bald guy of around 40 to 50 years of age, wearing a dirty wife-beater and a pair of blue jeans. Now, his cabin had a pair of windows complete with what looked to be hinged shutters, but he hadn't looked out of them before exiting his home, so the moment he sees me, I see the startled look come over his face, and he does not look pleased to see me. I figured I'd obviously give him a bit of a jump. Gave him a bit of a jump scare, so first thing I think to do is raise a hand and wave, just to let him know that I didn't have any ill intentions. He doesn't return the wave. He just walks back into his little cabin, then emerges seconds later, armed with what appeared to be a bolt-action hunting rifle. I just want to make it clear that I did not step into this man's property, and the word property is quite purposely in quotation marks I'm writing here now. Neither was I bearing any kind of weapon or trekking pole with me when he saw me. All the guy saw was a four-eyed, overweight dork with a floppy hat and a patchy beard, and his first move was to go grab his rifle. The second I saw it, I turned on the spot and started walking back down the hill towards the tree line. And then as I walked, I shouted back, "All right, mister, I get the message. I'm leaving." Hindsight is always 20/20, I guess, and I guess I should have just ran as fast as I could. But in the moment, I figured running would be the loudest way to announce my guilt. Run off through the trees and he'd think that I was up to no good, maybe fire off a shot at me, and that'd be all she wrote. But if I walked, hands in the air, not going for my own weapon and just trying to de-escalate, then maybe everything would just be fine. I was armed by the time, by the way. Nothing too big, just a handgun in case of bears and whatnot. But then the last thing I wanted to do was potentially start a gunfight in the middle of the woods. If I pulled out my weapon, that constituted a serious escalation, and the more this guy believed that he was in control, the less likely he was probably to shoot me. Or rather, that's what I mistakenly believed at the time. I remember giving it a second round of, "I'm going okay, I don't want any trouble." And in reply, all I heard was, "You stay right where you are." Have you seen those new Dune movies? There's a thing in it, something they call the voice. It's like a magical power. You speak and people will obey whether they want to or not. And I'm telling you, it was like that guy had the voice. He spoke and suddenly my feet were in cement blocks. I wanted to keep walking. Hell, I just wanted to run the second I saw his rifle. But whatever kept him feeling in control and his fingers off the trigger felt like my best course of action in the moment. I also literally cannot overemphasize how little I wanted to shoot this guy and turn a relaxing afternoon's hike into one of the single darkest chapters of my life. Fuck. I just don't want to touch lobsters during the cooking process. You have to. You have to hold their claw as they boil alive. Brittany, thank you for the one. Appreciate you. Brittany Grasse. I also literally cannot overemphasize how little I wanted to shoot this guy and turn a relaxing afternoon's hike into one of the single darkest chapters of my entire life. So he tells me to stop, but I obviously want the fuck. Obviously I want to fuck, so I asked him if he wanted to, and he said no. Actually, male cannot be Bene Gesserit, therefore cannot use can I use the voice except for Paul, aka the Quizette's head. That's hilarious, actually. We got a Dune nerd in the chat. Everybody cover him in the black goo from the movie. So, he tells me to stop, but I obviously want to face the guy as I'm talking to him, so I start to turn around. Big mistake. The guy raises his rifle, works the bolt of force around into the chamber, and then points it at me so aggressively that I could practically feel it. He was ready to fire by that point, like my life was in serious danger, but all that was going through my head as I had my arms way up in the air was like, please don't pee your pants. Please don't pee your pants. I didn't. And before you all go thinking, haha, what a baby, I cannot overstate how fast your mind works in those sort of situations. I was so scared I felt like I could taste the air. My arms and legs felt like they were encased in concrete, and I was sweating in places I didn't know that you could sweat from. So having all those irrational thoughts like that, not running when I had the chance, it all seems like part and parcel of all that raw, primal fear that I was feeling in the moment. Like I said, I started turning to face him, but he racked at his rifle. Like I schned. What's up, Jaina? How we doing? I'm gonna shit me. Yeah, I feel like I would probably shit and piss at the same time. Was there a scandal? No, I just went there earlier and found out that they were going bankrupt. Which, I don't know. Would be sad to lose that. But at the same time, maybe something better will come in its place. Such is the way of life. Like I said, I started turning to face him, but he racked his rifle and then started yelling things like, "Did I tell you to move? Did I? Move another muscle and watch what happens." All I could think to say was all the same stuff I repeated already. Stuff about me wanting to leave, about how I just stumbled across his place and was nothing more than just curious. He looked me up and down for a second, then asked me if I was from the government. I told him no, that I was just a hiker, and in an attempt to reinforce that I wasn't some kind of fed, I told him I worked for a financial firm back in Boise, which was the truth. I told him the name of the place, my position, then added that he could call them right then and there if he didn't believe me could... Fucking shite. I told him the name of the place, my position, and then added that he could call them right then and there if he didn't believe me because the office was open on weekends. I only told him all that because he quite clearly had a problem with cops or rangers and probably just about anyone in a position of authority. That, and once I got talking, I found it unusually difficult to stop. I was still talking when he told me to shut up, and then after a few seconds of what looked like thinking, he asked me a question that had me once again questioning whether I was about to pee my pants or not. The guy lowered his rifle just a little, which was kind of reassuring, but not by much, and then he asked me, "Do you believe in God?" Make no mistake, I am not prejudiced against religious types. I had a very Baptist grandmother who volunteered with the church until just months before she passed, and she was just about as saintly of a person as it's possible to meet. Any other context, that question would have provoked anything except an honest answer, but in the light of the rifle I had pointed at my stomach, I assume, it gave me the question. But in light of the rifle I had pointed at my stomach, I presume, it gave the question a hell of a lot of weight. On another day, I might have just spoken my mind and told him I consider myself something of an agnostic. I feel like there's something going on in terms of creation and evolution, whatever you want to call it. I just don't think we can so easily put a label like God on it and imagine him up there as this big old friendly white guy with a beard of clouds and sunny demeanor. But then, having considered my position, I decided to honestly... What's up, Dark Rain? How we doing? You believe in God? Mm-hmm. Blood, answer. Blood. My flesh and blood. But then, having considered my position, I decided honesty almost certainly wasn't the best policy. So instead of the truth, I lied and I told him, Sure. I believe in God. I thought that might have gotten me out of the woods, purely metaphorically, of course, but then he asked me, "Which God?" My gut told me that saying anything apart from Protestant Christian would have probably been bad news for me, and so I went with my instinct and told him that I was Baptist, just like my grandma. When I saw him give me this little nod of approval, I felt so relieved that my knees almost buckled. But unfortunately, the guy wasn't through with me just yet. Starting and stopping as he tried to find the right words, he began to explain how only 2 people in the world knew that he was up there, and he couldn't tolerate a third. I think he must have seen the terror in my face, because he went on to explain that he didn't actually want to shoot me. I guess he intended that to be reassuring. But somehow it was not, and that's the point where things turned back to why he'd asked me if I believed in God. He needed to know that I believed in something, so he could make me swear on my life that I wouldn't tell anyone I'd seen him. Right away, I told him, "I swear to God I won't tell anyone I saw you." And I did it so promptly because I very naively believed that he might actually let me walk away. But just the words alone weren't good enough for him. Holding the rifle at his hip now, the guy points it at me just a little more directly and then tells me to get on my knees. All I remember is saying please, but all that did was make him raise the gun all the way up so he could aim down the sights at me. He then repeated himself and told me to get on my knees, and from that moment, I was convinced that I was going to die, and I'm honestly not sure if I dropped to my knees deliberately or simply because they just gave out altogether. I thought that any second I'd simply go from being wide awake and terrified to just darkness. He'd blow my brains out with a single shot of that rifle and it'd switch me off like a light, you know? I literally remember thinking to myself, at least it'll be quick. But then instead of pulling the trigger, he spoke again. The guy told me to swear again, to God I mean, that I'd never tell another living soul that I'd seen him, or where he was living, or what we talked about. So I did. I put my hands together like I was praying, but I didn't dare close my eyes. Then I swore out loud that never in a million years would I ever tell another of God's creations about anything that had occurred that day. I don't think I said it quite like that, but you get the idea. When it was done, he just said, "Again, louder." And I did what I was told. Then once again, once I was finished, he starts yelling something like, "Swear on your family. Tell them to strike you down dead if you breathe a word to anybody." I wasn't in a position to refuse him, and as much as I probably could have lunged for his rifle or something, I'm also not an idiot, so I didn't even consider that an option at the time. Instead, I just tried my best to ensure that he kept that sense of control, because the moment he lost it, the chances of me getting switched off increased exponentially. I swore on my whole extended family that I'd never, ever speak of our encounter for as long as I lived. I told him, and God, and anything else listening for that matter, that I would happily bury my loved ones if I broke my record and bond. And not just that, but I'd happily follow them to hell afterwards if I ever breathed a word of our encounter. I said just about anything and everything that came to mind, but once I really thought about my mom and dad and how devastated they'd be to hear about my body being found up there in that hill, that's when I felt myself starting to well up. I guess that's what really satisfied him in the end, seeing me get sort of emotional like that, not just sick. Ron Swanson. Yeah, he's Ron Swanson, this character. Yeah, he proceeds to talk about something he swore he'd never talk about. He lied. He lied to that man. How rude. Not just scared, but sad or broken. Only then did he lower the rifle, and only then did he let me find my feet, and only then was I allowed to walk back down the hillside towards the trail. He yelled a reminder through the trees after me, reminding me of my promises, so naturally, the first thing I did once I got some real cell phone signal was fuck. He yelled a reminder through the trees after me, reminding me of my promises, and so naturally, the first thing I did once I got some real cell phone signal was to report the entire goddamn thing in excruciating detail to the Beaverhead County Sheriff. Like I said, I'm not religious in the traditional sense, and even if I was, I wouldn't have let that guy manipulate my faith in such a way. This also isn't some made-up story where I'm going to keep the guy's secret, or one in which I'm so scared that he'll come after me that I remain silent. I'm willing to admit that I was terrified at the time. I was shaking like a leaf as I walked down that hill, but by the time I got back to my car, I was just about angrier than I'd ever been in my entire life. The mood I was in when I was pacing back and forth calling 911, I could have ended that mother effer 3 times over. But again, that would not have been the right play to make. The grown-up responsible thing to do would be to let the law enforcement handle it, and that's what I tried to do. The only trouble was, after about a week of arguing with the sheriff and orangutanging the sheriff. Yeah, he proceeds to tell 1 million people. That guy out there in the woods is going to hear this and be like, "What the hell? I told him not to tell anybody. I told him not to tattletale. Son of a bitch." Has there been a story that genuinely scared or bothered you? Just this one. This is the scariest one you'd ever heard right now, right here. The only trouble was, after about a week of haranguing the sheriff into dealing with our potential fugitive, I realized that nothing was being done regarding my complaint. First off, piles of red tape meant that the sheriff was forced to inform Beaverhead's contingent of forest rangers of the situation, who in turn took the task off his hands after ensuring him they'd be in touch regarding their search of the area. The day before I called the sheriff for a 3rd time, the rangers had informed him that they'd been unable to locate any such cabin in the valley beneath Maverick Mountain. Naturally, I told the sheriff that was impossible, since I'd seen the cabin and its occupants with my own 2 eyes. I then went to the effort of providing him with at least what I believe are the exact coordinates denoting the cabin's location, which, for point of reference and for all of you, are 45. I gotta be honest, I don't know how to read coordinates like out loud. Let me ask ChatGPT. How would you how would you speak these coordinates? Okay, 45 degrees, 28 minutes, 30.9 seconds north. Okay, so that's how you say it. Sweet. I might even just copy paste that into there so I don't fucking forget it. Forget it. Degrees, longitude, and latitude. Yeah, but I guess there's like degrees, minutes, and then seconds or whatever. Google, how do you read? Yeah, he's doxing this guy. We all gotta show up at his house. I then went to the effort of providing him with, at least what I believe, are the exact coordinates denoting the cabin's location. 45 degrees, 28 minutes, 30.9 seconds north, and 113 degrees, 12 minutes, 41.1 seconds west. After that, the rangers promised to send out a second search party, and although this one actually found the guy's cabin, the man himself was nowhere to be found, and the structure appeared to have been... Oh shit, they found it. They done found it. Write that down. Write that down. After that, the Rangers promised to send out a second search party, and although this one actually found the guy's cabin, the man himself was nowhere to be found, and the structure appeared to have been unoccupied for quite some time. I was furious, to say the least. I have a lot of respect for people that choose to serve this country, no matter what form that service may take, but the ineptitude of the part of the authorities in allowing a dangerous fugitive to slip through their fingers is as staggering as it is frightening to me. I don't know for certain who I encountered up in Beaverhead that day, but I'd think that 90% of you would agree that the man was probably some kind of criminal, and that in all likelihood he was using the valley as cover to hide from the law enforcement there, and that cabin. Fuck. You try those crazy puffs? What are crazy puffs? Those things in the big containers.
Cheesy poofs. The cheesy poofs.
That would be funny to comment, almost like a creepypasta, go into a YouTuber's video, on every video, copy paste the same coordinates every time. And they're like, it's so weird, this guy copy paste these strange numbers as a comment every time, and then you look it up and you're like, it shows up as your exact location. Oh my god, that was so scary. I don't know for certain who I encountered up in Beaverhead that day, but I'd think that 90% of you would agree that the man was most probably some kind of criminal, and that in all likelihood he was using... God damn it. And that in all likelihood he was using that cabin and valley as cover to hide from law enforcement. That, or he was just kind of a psychopathic doomsday prepper who took pleasure in terrorizing just some kindly stranger. And either way, the idea of a second encounter filled me with a dread so intense, I'm not sure that I could put it into words. And that's why I haven't been back to Beaverhead since, and that if I did happen to visit those parts in the future, I'd stay the hell away from Maverick Mountain. Regardless of that sadistic... Am I a sports fan? Yeah, I like the sports. I mainly like American football. And I guess fighting too, but I feel bad for the fighters. And sometimes I feel bad for the football people too, because they hit their head so many times that, it changes their brain. Listening to you and watching Criminal Minds while sleeping in a basement is so freaking spooky. I guess you better go sleep on the roof. The higher you go, the less spooky things get. Regardless of that sadistic old prick's motives, I guess he figured that I wasn't going to be true to my word because, as I said, when the Rangers finally did make it out to his cabin, the man who almost shot me was long gone. But that in turn takes me all the way back to the beginning of this piece this piece of poop. But that in turn takes me all the way back to the beginning of this email, when I said that it wasn't so much a campfire story, but rather a grave warning to anyone planning on hiking in southwestern Wait. Sorry, keep fucking up how to pronounce this shit. Okay. Joe the Goat, sports fans are worse than weebs. You know, maybe they are. It's fun to enjoy, stuff, but you don't want to become that guy who's, I guess, obsessive. Mutton chops. Football. It's perfect for reading stories. Been a fan of your channel. You had that check mark. Thanks, Cody. Appreciate you. Ba-da-da-da. But that, in turn, takes me all the way back to the beginning of this email, when I said it wasn't so much a campfire story, but rather a grave warning to anyone planning on hiking in southwestern Montana, north of Idaho. I think that guy is just still out there, living off the grid. In fact, I'm certain of it. My only concern is that the next person who stumbles across him won't be as fortunate as I was. And rather than just being asked, "Do you believe in God?" I'm scared they'll be sent to meet him. Post-apocalyptic stories. When? Duh, bears, am I right? No. I don't even know anything about the Bears, honestly, other than they have not been too good, right? What time is it in date? It is May 19th, 2024. It's a Sunday, and it is currently 10:21 p.m. on the east coast of the United States of America. The Berenstein Bears. Campfire confessions are like people talking about the stories. Yeah, I mean, I guess I've had like viewer confessions, like about a couple volumes of those. And I guess whether or not they're told around a campfire is kind of the same idea. All right. Is there other stories where the perspective is from the creep? Yes, sometimes. Sometimes people sort of tell it like that, but it's... And I do have a whole video with that, but it's kind of a short video. I'm from North Carolina. Remember when the Panthers went undefeated and lost in the Super Bowl to a team they already beat that season? Because I do. Yeah, that would actually really suck. Did they play? Who'd they play? Was it Panthers Super Bowl? Because it's been a while, right? Wait. I typed Panthers Super Bowl and it brought up hockey? Hockey's not a Super Bowl, right? Super Bowl 2016. Oh, they lost to Von Miller. Dude, Von Miller's like a freak. Does he still play? I feel like it's about time for him to retire, but... Red Dead Redemption of the Falcons. Super Bowl 50 was an American football game championship. The American football champion. Denver Broncos versus Carolina Panthers. That's pretty crazy. It does kind of upset me to think that like some of the Super Bowl is like rigged now, or there's like a degree, because you know for a fact that they're really going to be pushing to like get the Chiefs back to the Super Bowl again. I'm not saying that they give them, because they're a good team obviously, but it does make you wonder, because if you get them back there, there'll be a dynasty or whatever, which is crazy, because they're still, I don't know, they still seem so young, and then of course the whole Taylor Swift bullshit. The storyline, guys. Don't forget about the storyline. Tonight's storyline. I've been going on long-distance hikes in one form or another for just about as long as I can remember. My dad was an army vet and his brother was always crazy into bow hunting, so most summers, myself, my dad, my uncle, and my cousins would all head out into the woods south of of course, Volgenscheit. Oh, crap. How do you even say this place? Yes, I know about it. It's how you say Abbeville. Abbeville. Oh, Abbeville. Oh yeah, you were saying you have hyperlexia. Like, what does that mean? Like, do you read like one book a week or something like that? Or you like burn through multiple books like frequently? Is it sort of like a compulsive obsession? You know nothing about sports. It's whatever. Like, I don't think I would get into like a new sport at this point. It's just like anything. Like whenever you're young and somebody gets you into it, it just gets sort of plugged into your very elastic brain as like a new bullshit that you're somehow associate your identity with or whatever. Metro Boomin' and some more. Sports don't matter. I'm not saying they do, but they matter to the person that likes it. You know, because you could say that about anything. Like if you're just not into somebody else's interests, it's all the same bullshit. It's just something to pass the time. Gonna fall asleep, Vixa? No worries. Need to find a genuine, loving lady. Thank you. Appreciate that, Sarah. I'm doing my best. Also, it's kind of interesting, the stream numbers. Normally we get to like 300 before the narration starts, and now it just seems like it's been like stagnant for some reason, but maybe because we started a little bit earlier tonight. I don't know. It's actually insane. People get paid millions to play a game we did for fun in elementary school. Well, it's just interest, you know what I mean? It's a form of entertainment. Entertainment has been infiltrated by the concept of advertising. Advertising has, for whatever reason, been established as like a very highly valued commodity that if you want to, put your sponsorship into a Super Bowl commercial, you are interrupting, as they say, like people's escapism, even though they've made it fun at this point, I guess, with like fun Super Bowl commercials. But so somebody is like, well, if you want to interrupt what a bunch of people find interesting to sponsor your crap, you have to pay this amount of money. That tends to be a lot. So it's like all that conceptually, the fact that people are into it, like it just builds upon itself. It's not like right out the gate, the NFL, people were making like $1 million or anything like that, or even that they had a lot of interest. It's just like everything, like esports, and esports might not, they might not be making like crazy bank, but you look at streamers, you look at YouTubers, like they all make a ton of money because people are interested in it. Obviously it varies depending on the number, but it's just the fact that there's sponsors and ads and all that kind of stuff associated with it. I need to do my cardio right now. 1,000 burpees. These days are starting to get longer, warm up. People are out longer and not ready to veg out yet. It's true. It's nice. It feels good to just like, today was like probably like a perfect day, to be honest with you. Oh no, you know why that is? You know why my stream thing? That's hilarious, actually. I don't know what to do about that, to be honest with you. Yeah, it says 345 watching on the thing, so I guess at least it did go up, but the reason it was stuck at 268 is because once again my stream froze. That's so strange because I can see it moving, but the interaction on the board is frozen. I feel like that's something that Streamlabs should be made aware of, but I also don't know how you would troubleshoot something like that to make it not fail. Because it would really, I mean, thankfully I've made it to the reading screen here, but I mean, if I have to like click the be right back, I can't really use that anymore, and I can't do the end stream like credit thing. So I just literally, I don't know, for someone who's using this who would like have to switch between multiple scenes, they'd be kind of screwed. That's really lame though. My dad was an army vet, and his brother was always crazy into bow hunting, so most summers, myself, my father, my uncle, and my cousins would all head out into the woods south of Abbeville, South Carolina for a few days of hiking and camping. After he passed, I found that trips into the forest helped me feel closer to him, even if it was just a few hours of hiking on a Sunday afternoon. I just get choked. Somebody grabbed me and choked me. That's why I squeaked like that. After he passed, I found that trips into the forest helped me feel closer to him, even if it was just a few hours of hiking on a Sunday afternoon. So at least once or twice a month, I'd gear up and then head out into the wilderness to burn off the stresses of everyday life. I was living down in Augusta when he died, and although there was a nice patch of woods out near Audubon, brain rot horror stories when. That's like every story, honestly, at this point. Our brain is just rotting. Also, my cat's here. Hi, buddy. Come on. Yay. What's up? What's up, stinker? Stinky boy. Sully, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you. It is funny when he arrives, he just like smacks his fucking head into my knee. Makes me buckle. Audubon.
He's so cute. He's so cute.
The one cool thing about Pradeep is that he doesn't really meow much, you know. Sometimes, like, he'll see me in the morning, or I'll catch him, like, trying to sneak up on me, and he'll go, like, you know, make, like, a little bit of a weird noise. But, thankfully, he doesn't, like, he's not one of those cats that are fucking incessant about it. Audubon. I was living down in Augusta when he died, and although there was a nice patch of woods out near Audubon's Bluff, I found the areas between Stevens Creek and the Hamilton Branch State Park to be much more like the woods that I'd hiked through as a child. Also, for accuracy's sake, I'm referring to Stevens Creek up in South Carolina, not the neighborhood in North Augusta, just in case anyone is confused. You could walk for miles and miles and not see anyone but the occasional fisherman. And so for about 90% of the time, it was just you, the creek, and the trees, peaceful and serene. But then one time, after driving up from Augusta on a Sunday afternoon, I was about 2 miles into my hike along Stevens Creek when I saw an odd shape in the woods off to my left. As you can imagine, I was used to seeing nothing but trees and the odd squirrel on the side of the creek, so seeing this big, dark lump caught my attention almost right away. I stopped in my tracks, turned to give it a good look over, and saw that someone had constructed a kind of makeshift shelter out of old dead wood by stacking it at an angle against a tree. I actually thought it was pretty cool at first. I mean, it had this slightly creepy, almost witchy vibe to it, but it was still kind of impressive to see that someone had been out there practicing survival skills or whatever. I carried on walking through the woods for another 5 or 10 minutes, then up ahead, I suddenly saw another one of those makeshift shelters. That one was a little bigger than the other, and someone had clearly put a lot more work into binding some of the larger pieces together so the whole thing didn't just collapse. I'd never seen anything like it on any of my previous hikes, and although they looked a little creepy, I wasn't worried about running into the person who constructed them. Oops. Huh. Pradeep keeps going through my legs, and when I look at him, he just like rolls onto his back and looks up at me. What are you doing? He's a big lump. He's a big lump out of the corner of my eye. I swear, though, I always have this stupid thought, and I've said this before, but like when he passes away, and hopefully 100 years from now, I'll be long gone. But if he does, I just imagine, like, you know, you always see, like, if you have a black cat, like, little movement out of the side of your eye that you just think is your cat or something. And that's how I'm going to be, like, thinking, like, oh, he's here. Oh, no, he's not. Fuck. It's a sad thought, but it's not meant to be sad, but it's just a concept. I read so much during school, the teachers would suggest books to me. That's cool. I respect that, though, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of power in, like, reading. I mean, hopefully you write, too. Is my cat Indian? Yeah, he's from India. The void is eternal. But yeah, Cody, I assume you write as well, having read so much. If not, yeah, you definitely should, just hone in those skills. Because you know what I mean? Like, not too many people have the drive, you know? Because it's not pounded into our heads since we're young, because all of us get a fucking iPad now that destroys our dopamine cycles, or we play video games or stare at a TV or whatever it be, which is still fun. But like, if you're one of those people that can somehow adhere to the concept of like reading and writing as a form of enjoyment, you essentially can like teach yourself anything because you actually have the patience to do it, which is really the biggest difference between learning something is just time. You know, obviously some people are quick at learning, but really if you give anybody enough time, they'll figure it out. I mean, maybe one of the fishermen I saw sometimes brought their... Wait, where was I? I should be a dad. Yeah, you're right. Somebody should let me reproduce with them, and we'd be happy forever. I honestly do think, though, if someone asked you to marry them, right? This is for really, I guess anybody in the audience. If someone asked you to marry them, and they asked you to sign a prenup to where if you divorced, you wouldn't get, you know what I mean, you wouldn't be able to like take 50% of the assets and all that kind of typical stuff that happens during a really messy divorce, et cetera, et cetera. That wouldn't be like a deal breaker, right, for marriage, you would imagine. Like, that's a pretty like sound thing. Because I feel like some people might take like offense to that, almost like you're anticipating a divorce, but it's not necessarily like you're anticipating it. It's just that if something crazy were to occur, it wouldn't be for me as long as the other doesn't cheat. Yeah, right. I mean, because the goal is to, you know, have the relationship for as long as you can, you know what I mean, till you're dead, till you blow up together in a big explosion of nuclear bomb or whatever. But yeah, I've always just found the idea of like people, like a guy works his whole life to start a business, you know, then is successful financially and takes that money and puts it into like property or other fucking shit. And I'm like, the fact that someone else can kind of just come in with like no work at all, and then because they didn't have a good relationship at some point when things seem to work out fine, but then 10 years, 20 years down the road, something occurs where the other one, it just seems really odd that some lawyer was able to like figure out like, yeah, Yeah, you should get everything and make them sell their properties and liquidate every. It just seems such a ridiculous process. I watched Fallout. I watched a little bit of the first episode. I was talking about it last time. I thought the fight choreography was like borderline comedic. You know what I mean? Because it just looked like so much like theater kids or something up on stage. Whenever you're watching like live theater, and the fight choreography is really cringe. It felt like an old kung fu movie. It just like looked so fake, and I'm like, what the fuck? Didn't they have anybody like a cinematographer or something at least get like decent angles? Go heartbreak. We want prenup. We want prenup. Yeah. Yeah, it's whatever. I mean, maybe one of the fishermen I saw sometimes brought their kids. Wait, where was I actually? I've never seen anything like it on previous hikes, and although that looked creepy, I wasn't worried to run. Okay, yeah. The one was a little bit bigger than the other, and someone had clearly put a lot more work into binding some of the larger pieces together so the whole thing didn't just collapse. I think we were there, right? Oh, that was the last thing I said on stream before I was killed. Oh yeah, and they shut my stream down. I'd never seen anything like it on any of my previous hikes, and although they looked a little creepy, I wasn't worried about running into the person who constructed them. I mean, maybe one of the fishermen I saw sometimes brought their kids along to the previous... God damn it, I don't know why that seems like a confusing sentence for some reason. Thank God you had a prenup? Yeah, what happened? I mean, maybe one of the fishermen I saw sometime brought their kid out along... What? This sentence makes no sense for some... I mean, maybe one of the fishermen I saw sometimes brought their kids along the previous day. Yeah, I guess. Would you narrate scary stories to your children? Yeah, I would read them books. I guess if they wanted me to read scary ones to them, I could. But I feel like if it ends up in them not fucking being able to fall asleep, then I would be really annoyed and kicking myself in the butt. Yeah, dude, no one's gonna take half my Beanie Baby collection. Fuck that. I mean, maybe one of the fishermen I saw sometimes brought their kids along the previous day, and they'd made the two shelters as a way of keeping themselves occupied while Dad tried to land a big one. But then, shortly after that thought crossed my mind, I spotted someone up ahead of me, working on one of the same shelters I'd just been looking at. As I got a little closer, I realized the guy looked to be in his 50s or 60s, around the same age as my dad when he passed. He had thinning gray hair pulled back into a ponytail, he was overweight, and he wore an array of colorful hiking gear. As I approached, he saw me coming, so he stopped what he was doing for a moment, waved, and wished me a good afternoon. We talked for a little while about this and that, but long story short, he said that his name was Ron, and that he was pretty much doing exactly what it looked like, practicing the construction of impromptu shelters. He was actually doing so with a view to camping out there one night. He was actually doing so with the idea of camping out there one night. Just him, his shelter, and a canopy of stars above him. I joke that he might end up looking up at nothing but raindrops if he doesn't master his shelters before the fall, and then after we shared a few chuckles, I carried on with my hike. My usual routine was that once I'd reached the area near Hamilton Branch, I'd turn back home. God fucking damn it. Anytime there's like a place, it just like throws my brain off because I like don't expect it. Even if it's not like hard to pronounce. gonna go play Season 2, Episode 5 of The Walking Dead. Oh, good luck, dude. Is that the video game? Yeah, it's actually around here in Pennsylvania a pretty good view of the Milky Way galaxy. Kind of crazy. You were the kind of kid that read Stephen King. Cody, what is your favorite Stephen King novel or story? My usual routine was, once I'd reached the area near Hamilton Beach, I'd turn back on myself and then retrace my steps along the creek. I thought I might see Ron on the way back, but I didn't. He must have moved on by the time I got back to his shelters. I must have made 2 or 3 more trips to Stevens Creek that summer, and although I didn't see any more of Ron, I did see more of his handiwork. Every time I went for a hike, there would be 1 or 2 more shelters, some larger than the others, but always more skillfully constructed. It sometimes felt like me and Ron were engaged in a sort of wordless conversation. Every time I went for a hike, I'd get to see how much he'd improved at his rather strange but wholesome new hobby. I always hoped that I'd bump into him again, if only to find out how his survival camping adventure had gone. And that's why, during one particular hike in early September, I didn't feel frightened when I got the feeling that someone else was in the woods with me. I actually felt kind of excited. I recall walking through the woods, just parallel to the creek, and then quite literally hearing the snap of a stick behind me, which made me stop and turn my head. I figured it might be Ron, working away on a new shelter, so I turned back and started walking off in the direction I'd heard the sound. I walked for about a minute or two when I realized that Ron was nowhere to be seen. I stopped dead in my tracks and started back up again. If it wasn't him that had made the twig snap, then something else clearly had, and that something else might not be nearly so friendly. As I said, I backed up to my original path, then carried on walking along the creek via my usual route. I turned my head every so often to take a look behind me just to make sure no mountain lions or bears were following, but other than that, I stayed on my route. I always carried some bear mace and a pistol with me, like I'm not one of those people who very naively believe that bear mace is enough to keep you safe. I mean, aside from the fact that so I had a burrito recently. Oh, you like the story Christine? Interesting. What's Christine about? Is that about the sentient car? Or am I thinking of something else? So I had a burrito. I had 2 burritos. And I got them from a place called Qdoba. You probably have heard of that place. And it sucks because Qdoba, in my opinion, is better than Chipotle because they have a lot more sauces and shit to choose from, different flavors. Chipotle is good, but I would say overall there's not enough flavor options for the shit that you can get because it's all just sort of fresh, organic bullshit that's, fine, but it's not the best, you know what I mean? And you can get the sauce there, I suppose, but you can't anticipate the burrito itself to be as saucy, so you're gonna have to sauce it, etc. But sadly, the Qdoba burritos that I got were also not that great. So I went searching through my cabinets looking for anything that would make it really good. And I found this shit called Tajin, Tajin, classical seasoning. And it's sort of what the fuck is it? What does it say? Chili peppers, sea salt, citric acid, dehydrated lime juice, silicon dioxide to prevent caking. They don't want it to turn into a cake. No artificial colors or flavors added. This is not a candy. Okay, good to know. So that shit was good. But then I was like, that's, it's kind of a dry rub bullshit that you put in seasoning that you put on stuff. So I also found this stuff called hot honey, which is basically just cayenne pepper mixed with honeys, or honey. And dude, what a fucking mix that is. Like, you like dump on your honey onto whatever it is you're making, which kind of adds like a little bit more moisture, but also like a sweet and spiciness to it. And then you put on the tahin bullshit, which is, spicy, but also surprisingly goes well with like sweet fruit and stuff. And it was like, I don't know, it was like the best mixture of flavors I've concocted in quite some time. Kitty cat, what are you doing?
What are you doing, Stinky? Stinky poop. Stinky pooper.
He's so funny. Get you some Mexican ice cream with tahin in the red sauce. Oh my god, that does sound really good. I might try that. Because my friend, he's like, here, try this on your, like, it was like mango or something. I was like, all right. But it was like a perfect Tahiti. No, not Tahiti. I think, yeah, Tahiti's like in Mediterranean or like Indian, East Asian. Oh, tahini. Oh, okay.
We gotta get to Tahiti.
Mango ice cream with tahin is bomb. Yeah, that sounds really good. Isn't it crazy? That's what I'm saying. You can just like mix shit all together, and it just always usually tastes interesting. Not Joel, just discovering this. Have you guys heard of spices? You can just put it on food? Wow. I mean, aside from the fact that the odor will actually attract all the bears you didn't mace directly, it's not always just the wildlife you gotta be afraid of. And so by the time I'd reached the outskirts of Hamilton Branch, I was convinced that someone, or something, was stalking me through the woods. I'm not just saying that out of my misguided sense of paranoia either, nor had I managed to freak myself out by allowing my mind to play tricks on me. When a predatory animal is in your vicinity, everything goes deathly quiet. Birds don't sing, insects don't chirp. It's like every living thing hushes themselves into silence while some hungry killer slips through their midst. Like, in the movies when someone says, quiet. Fuck. Too quiet. It's quiet. Too quiet. Like, in the movies when someone says, it's quiet. Too quiet. That's exactly where it comes from, when everyone and everything is too scared to make a noise. So when I tell you that I knew something was following me that day, please don't think that I'm just some anxious person who can talk themselves into a tizzy. I know something was stalking me, and I know it 100%. I must have been about a half a mile from the Muddock trailhead. Do you ever see those like giant spiders, like the bird-eating spiders, I think? Or maybe it's some type of tarantula, but when they move, you can like hear their hydraulic motion within their, like underneath their skeleton or whatever the fuck it is. Modoc, okay. You love cayenne? Hell yeah, dude. Oh, the margaritas did you in, yeah. That association will not be forgotten. Joel's cream, question mark? With some tahin? That's my horse, Tahina. Banana spiders? Not the banana spiders, like some real big ones. I just remember like hearing that like the tarantulas and like the really big ones, you can like operate on like a hydraulic system or something, like something really unique and strange, where it's like the reason you can hear like them go like as they go is like it's a bunch of exchange of like gases throughout their legs or some shit. Almost like you're like shaking like a salt shaker or some shit. Wait, Modoc? How the hell was I supposed to say this? Modoc, yeah. I must have been about a half a mile from the Modoc trailhead when I stopped, took off my backpack, and then rummaged through it for the Taurus 856 that I always carried with me. Being a 38 special and a cool 16 ounces unloaded, it packs just enough punch to theoretically put down a wild animal, while being light enough to not be a literal burden wherever I carried one. It always gave me this residual feeling of safety, but that was the first time I'd ever gotten it out of my pack with the expectation of potentially using it. Yet I wasn't fearful of actually having to pull the trigger. I was fearful of what I might have to aim it at, be it a bear, a mountain lion, or one of my fellow human beings. I loaded it with a speed loader that I kept with me, so within just seconds of reaching into my pack, I was locked and loaded and ready to defend myself. After that, I just stood there for a few moments, watching the woods and the trail, just waiting to see if whatever had been following me was impatient enough to reveal itself. About a minute went by, then I found myself yelling off into the trees. "Ron? Is that you?" I guess that was nothing but wishful thinking on my part, just kind of hoping that Ron was, I don't know, maybe playing a trick on me or something. That would be creepy and inappropriate, but it sure as hell beat a wild animal or some other stranger stalking me through the woods. I stood in the same spot a little longer, then I don't know if I did this out of practicality or just to assuage my own nerves, but I called out something like, "If there's anyone following me, you better stop now. I'm armed, and I know how to use this thing. So y'all better stop before someone gets shot." But nothing moved. Nothing stirred. But I could still feel. I don't know, man. Come on, dude. Oh, he's getting situated. Kangarooster, see you later, dude. A huntsman spider. Maybe on a smaller scale. You love snakes and lizards, 2 ball pythons, but you hate spiders. Interesting. Usually people who are into those things are also into both. Your brother terrorized you with his tarantula, Harry. Yeah, I don't think I could ever be with someone, even near someone who's just like really fucking loves spiders. Like, I get it. I get that there's an affection for the creature that you own. But every time I would see it, all like there's just something deep inside of my loins that would want to squish it. But nothing moved. Nothing stirred. But I could still feel eyes on me. At this point, I was faced with something of a conundrum. I could divert from my intended route, walk 2 miles into Modoc, and then walk in a big loop back on myself until I reached my car, which was parked down near Clark's Hill. Or I could save myself at least an hour's extra hike and walk back the way I came while remaining doubly vigilant and alert. Now, this was a Sunday, like I said, and back then, Sundays meant that I was on a pretty tight schedule. Not tight enough that I couldn't devote an entire hour for walking along the creek, but tight enough that I couldn't really afford to throw an extra 90 minutes to 2 hours onto my hike. Obviously, when it comes to personal and physical safety, an extra 2 hours is nothing. But I had my mace, I had my gun, and I had all my experience, the latter of which was telling me that, although there was a bad feeling in the air, I was still safe enough to walk back along the creek side, so long as I kept my wits about me. And so off I went. About halfway along the route, I see this pair of fly fishermen setting up at the edge of the creek. I said hi as I walked past, and then stopped and politely asked if they'd seen anyone else walking the trail as they'd hiked out to their spot. They told me yes. They had seen someone, but they were walking the opposite way, meaning that someone had 100% been behind me on the trail and had turned back at some point before I'd seen them. I asked what this person looked like, thinking that they might go on to describe Ron, but they didn't, and the person they ended up describing didn't sound like Ron at all. They also mentioned how after wishing the hiker a good afternoon, the fishermen didn't receive any kind of reply. Apparently, this hiker returned nothing but an awkward mumble and then carried on their business. The two fishermen then started asking why I'd seemed so concerned, and so I straight up told them that I was worried about someone following me. Not like on accident either, when they just so happened to be behind me on the trail. It was like someone was there and just didn't want to be seen. Should I move my foot? Hey, Haley Boo with a 7 Canadian buckaroonie says, sometimes I try to sleep so to your stories, but they're too good and I try to stay awake. Yeah, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place there. But I'm sure your body will figure it out eventually. But thank you, Haley Boo, for the 7, and Destroyer Lynn, thank you for the big 5 gifters too. Shell, Vanilla Twilight, Scotia Lobster, Jenna Grosskopf, and J Money. Thank you. Welcome, friends, to the Buttersuck Cult. You now have access to bonus content. And Solly with a 5. Thanks, guys. Bringing it in here. Thanks so much. I almost flipped the couch jumping up because I saw a centipede. No, that's funny. Yeah, those house centipedes can be pretty spooky looking sometimes. They look almost like a blur whenever you see them running across the floor or whatever. It's hard to catch them. Your chiropractic visit did barely anything last week. My neck is more tense now than ever. Honestly, I like chiropractors, but I don't think a chiropractor, in my opinion, is effective without addressing the underlying tissue, like muscles and fascia and all that kind of stuff. Because if your muscles are tight, or they're, has their scar tissue under there from a previous injury or anything like that, and you're not able to work that out effectively, whether through myofascial release or just some sort of massage, you can sit there and crack your bones all day long, but it's just going to pull, the tight muscles are just going to pull them back to their typical position anyways. Which, if you think about it, it's you got muscle, bone, obviously there's nerves running through there, but kind of in the grander sense, central nervous system, I guess you could say, muscle, bones, nerves. And yeah, it's you're not going to bring any relief to those nerves that gives you the pain if you don't address the bones, but you're not going to give those bones the appropriate ability to reset themselves into a comfortable position that doesn't irritate the nerves without the muscles first being addressed. So I would probably suggest finding somebody that does good, massage or myofascial release techniques, MFR, prior to, or you could see both in the same day. Somebody who does massage and then go to the chiropractor, and you might see, benefit from both. But I always love that word that chiropractors use. It's just sort of this made-up word that sounds very scientific-y, but it always makes, when I see it, when you go into their office or whatever, and you see it all over their reading materials and up on a fucking poster or some shit, it's called subluxation, which is just I don't know, the shifting of the bones and needing cracked back. It just reminds me of some shit that you would see in a fucking Scientology pamphlet or something, just some made up word you've got too many metachlorians in your anus. We need to sublux that shit out of there quickly. Those YouTubers said they were dying from cancer and that a chiropractor healed them. I don't remember who that is. Not like an accident either, when they just so happened to be behind me on the trail. Oh. Not like an accident either, where they just so happened to be behind me on the trail. It was someone was there and just didn't want to be seen. And that's when the two fishermen shared these nervous looks before telling me that the man they'd seen was wearing camouflage, but didn't have any kind of hunting weapon with him, and wasn't wearing any blazing orange or safety orange, as you might call it. Let me read that again. Obama. That's when the two fishermen shared these very nervous looks before telling me that the man that they'd seen was wearing camouflage, but didn't have any kind of hunting weapon with him and wasn't wearing any kind of safety orange jacket or anything like that. This hadn't given any pause for concern for me at first. I mean, people are entitled to walk through the woods wearing old army-ish shoes, but in the context of me thinking that I've been followed, they obviously found the detail as chilling as I did. As a precaution, I told the two fishermen where I was headed and where my car was parked, and then wished them a very pleasant afternoon and headed off. But on the drive back to Augusta, I couldn't help but wonder if they'd really been as innocent as I first expected. I guess the kind... Oh shit, don't tell me this ends with nothing happening. I hope something happens. Just like feeling watched is uncomfortable, but I feel like until you get like verification, it doesn't, the story's like it's like you're edging the whole time, but then nothing occurred, then you just blue ball yourself. I guess this kind of does constitute paranoia on my part, but the idea that it was one of the fishermen that had been stalking me, only to back off when I started acting tough, that was somehow even creepier than anything else. Someone playing nice only to have sinister intentions, like someone out of a horror movie or whatever, it was enough to make my skin crawl, and I decided there and then that I'd give Stevens Creek a very wide berth for a while, at least for a month or two, so I could go back to see what progress Ron had made. Only that never happened, and I don't plan on ever going back to Stevens Creek, and the story of how that came to pass started with a phone call I received just a few weeks later. I just got home from work when I heard my phone ringing from inside my purse. I didn't recognize the number, and assuming it was a sales call, I almost hit the red button to decline it. But then, I don't know, it was like something in my head just said, answer it. And when I did, I heard it was a deputy calling from the McCormick County Sheriff's Department up in South Carolina. My first thought was that I'd committed some kind of traffic violation or something around Clarks Hill, which was usually where I parked my car whenever I went hiking around Stevens Creek. But the call was not about any kind of traffic violation. The call was about my friend Ron. The deputy didn't refer to Ron as Ron, not at first anyway. He simply asked if I'd ever encountered an individual building survival shelters up near Stevens Creek. This deputy had already spoken to the fishermen that I'd bumped into on the day that I'd been stalked, which was how they'd traced me to Clarks Hill via a security camera which watched the parking lot that I'd used. The fishermen must have mentioned that I was a regular hiker there, which ended up making me a potential witness for something I was yet to be informed of. My first thoughts were that Ron had gotten hurt somehow, or had maybe gone missing, so I was very Fortnite. We love Fortnite, ah! Jaina Zoe with the 5 says, hey there, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the 5. Good to see you. How are you doing? I'd like to return the fart that I just ripped. And they're like, excuse me, sir? And then you just like fart right in their face. What's up, Cheyenne? Do you think Fortnite will ever not be the greatest game ever? My first thoughts were that Ron had gotten hurt somehow, or had maybe gone missing, so I was very forthright about my interaction with him. But then the deputy made some allusion to human remains being found out near the creek, and I felt my heart slowly sinking into my chest. I remember this feeling of absolute horror, thinking the same thing that had stalked me had gotten Ron instead. He must have been working away on one of his shelters, completely oblivious to the woods around them, and then bam, the most painful death you can imagine, without a soul around to ever hear him die. I remember asking if it was an animal attack, if they'd found Ron, if he had any family. But that wasn't much the Oh, you know what I watched yesterday? Or I had on in the background, I guess? 1917. A movie about World War I. That movie's pretty wild. Like, just all the different scenes that they do over, like, long periods of time. Like there was the one scene where they were like, I don't know, going to deliver a message or something, and they were hanging out at this barn that, you know, had some shit going on. But then there was a like a German plane up in the air, and like the Brits were fighting them, and then they shot the plane down. But then the plane fucking like landed like right near them, so they had to run, and it like crashed into a sort of shelter or like shed near them or whatever. And then then they pull this like German dude whose like legs are on fire, screaming and shit. And then the one guy's like, I'll go get some water or whatever. And then like as he's doing that, the German stabs his friend in like the stomach. And then he has to shoot the guy that stabbed his friend. And then he proceeds to sit there and like hold his friend who's like bleeding out to death the whole time. That's just crazy. I don't know. It just like seems so fucking heavy. You know what I mean? Also, one World War I film, or maybe it's a World War II film, that I really need to watch, that I saw on a YouTube short. I got a meme here that encapsulates exactly how I feel. Hold on, sorry, where is it? You know what? I'm just gonna...
This film is so horrifying, it makes Saving Private Ryan feel like a Disney movie. This is Ellen Klimov's Come and See, a visceral plunge into the horrors of war through the eyes of a young boy. Set during the Nazi occupation of Belarus, the film follows a teenage boy who joins the Soviet partisans, only to witness the unspeakable atrocities of war. The film is a harrowing commentary on the horrific effects of war. It portrays the transformation of a child into a hollow-eyed witness of inhumanity, encapsulating the irreversible impact of war on the human soul. Ellen Klimov's direction is unflinching, employing a blend of surrealism and hyper-realistic depictions of violence. The cinematography is both beautiful and haunting, capturing the stark contrast between the innocence of youth and the horror of war. At the heart of Come and See is Alexei Kravchenko's performance as Floria. Kravchenko's ability to convey the profound internal changes his character undergoes is nothing short of remarkable. For those who seek films that challenge and leave you changed as a person, Come and See is a film that will completely sear itself into your consciousness. This film is so horrifying.
Yeah. It's called Come and See, and I don't know, if you look up the trailer for it, the visuals are just like nuts, and it's from like the 80s. I had no idea it even existed, but it looks, I don't know, like war movies that actually depict war being bad and just like fucked up is just so much more realistic, you know? I don't know. The ones that like make it to be this like heroic effort, like I get it, but like it's not. It'll destroy you. It destroys everyone it touches, even the heroes. Audrey, what's up? I've been ghosting you. Where? Right here? And what are you talking about? I'm right here, dog. Do you like graphic novels? I do, yeah. I have a lot of graphic novels, honestly. Planet Hulk. Planet Hulk's pretty sick. I remember for a while there I was collecting mangas when I was younger. I have a decent amount of them. What is it? Oh, Ron. I don't know how to say that. Les enfants. What the hell do I do for fun? I like to hang out with people and eat food. That's probably my favorite thing to do aside from like go on walks with people and talk about stuff. I like to chill and smoke hookah. Do you guys ever smoke hookah before? I don't know, I just like talking to people. That's like my most fun. And I like to lift weights, but I guess that's more for like productivity and a sense of feeling good. But I do have fun when I do it. Not a big fan of cardio, I suppose, as you know. Do I watch anime? Yeah, I've been actually watching a decent amount of anime. No, Sam, I'm done playing Overwatch. I haven't played it in like 2 weeks. The game is dead. The devs killed it. They made it bad, and honestly, sometimes I'll like go back and looking back all those 2 weeks ago. Such a long time, folks, such a long time. But no, I'll like watch streamers play it, briefly, and then it's like I have PTSD, or it's almost like I'm dead and in heaven or something, and I'm like watching like my old self or like my dead body there, you know. You just, you know, because imagine that, like you're standing over your dead body and you're like, holy shit, none of this like matters. All of this was like so silly and stupid, you know. That's how I look. That's what I think whenever I like look back on Overwatch now, seeing as I've broken the chain of abuse. But I've been playing a lot of battle, what the fuck's it called? Hearthstone Battlegrounds, and that's actually kind of become like a pretty hardcore addiction. So maybe I just love Blizzard. I just love Blizzard so much. Code Fairy, thank you so much for the 20. Big one says, I had a rotator cuff injury on the 7th. I've always thought I had a high pain tolerance, but nope, listening to Let's Read has helped me so much. Thank you. Yeah, careful with the rotator cuff. It's I had a similar issue, and I still do, but I'll be honest with you, I consulted with a physician who specializes in hormone therapy, peptides, and that kind of thing, and they were able to prescribe me a prescription for 5 weeks of subcutaneous injectable BPC 157 peptide, which basically focuses on like creating vasculature within areas that don't normally get vasculature. So even though you inject it in your like belly fat, kind of near your belly button or whatever, and rotate the sites and stuff, it operates systemically. I've talked about this before, but it goes to sites like your rotator cuff and your shoulder injuries and other injuries, because it's able to create vascularity in these areas that otherwise would have little vascularity. And the vascularity, like the blood flow, is what heals your body, you know what I mean? And if it can do that, it can help to heal like old scar tissue and get rid of the pain that you might be experiencing. So maybe talk to a physician about where you can, you know, get do some BPC 157. Who's the hottest Overwatch character? Probably Roadhog, I guess. He's the most accurate, you know, he's the most ideal form of man. Try the new Grandma Blizzard from McDonald's. No, what is it? Have you watched the new trailer for the Rings of Power trailer? Sauron supposedly changes his form, but the Sauron from the TV show fools everyone by wearing a blonde wig. That's funny. No, I didn't even watch any of the Rings of Power things, but I've heard it was shit. And that, like, the, whatever her name, Gladriel or whatever her name is, like, it's just sort of like a Mary Sue that's rude to everyone and doesn't need help from her, like, people, and can just do it all on her own. And I don't know, I hate that fucking, those types of characters, you know what I mean? Because they just have all the skills, like, built into them, and they don't have to grow at all, and all this kind of shit, and it's just kind of cringe. And the fact that apparently they just didn't really stick true to the vision of Tolkien. I mean, that's just a little odd. Yeah, girl boss. Girl boss, go! Did Microsoft buy Blizzard? Did the transaction get blocked? Yeah, Microsoft did buy Blizzard, so that transition is occurring now, I do believe. I think there was a block briefly, but then they were able to figure it out. The government needed its palms greased a little bit more, maybe. I don't know. I don't expect like one, you know, transferring from one mega corporation to another to make the game any better. They're probably going to get rid of even more devs on the team. Splatoon's better than Overwatch. Yeah, I agree, honestly. Fuck Overwatch. If they could have just like, I don't know, if they could have somehow figured out how to balance the two tanks. I mean, I get queue times was an issue, but the game was fine. I think the biggest issue in that game is just like the one-shots are fucking painful. Sojourn's the worst. Like, Sojourn's been meta since the game came out, and she's not fun to play against. And she's really not even that fun to play. Like, going do-do-do-do-do, boom, do-do-do-do. You just, like, win every 1v1 easy, and it's not even a challenge for most people, and it gives you, like, PTSD. Widow sucks, you know, just one-tapping, not skilled. But anyways, I don't know. If they could have figured out a way, in the current form, how to actually kill tanks, you know what I mean? How to actually kill tanks and not just make them like giant fucking raid bosses the whole time. It's just... Omega, you play? Do you actually play Overwatch? There's no way. It's cold now? That's crazy. You want to watch all the Lord of the Rings movies. Lord of the Rings to me is like a comfort film. I know some people say it's really boring, but honestly, there's something so peaceful about watching like the extended cuts and just chilling, slowly wasting away in the wintertime in a blanket. Oh, you were assaulted and had to. That's crazy. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, send that story in. What's my cat's name again? I have 3 cats myself, 1 male, 2 female. His name is Pradeep. Yeah, it was kind of wild too, because like the original non-extended version that's like still 3 hours, it like flies by. My one friend fucking hates the Lord of the Rings movies because he says that it's just not true to the books or whatever. I'm like, whatever, you fucking nerd. They're good. You ever played Dying Light? I would say Dying Light's probably one of my favorite games of all time, to be honest with you. The only thing bad about that game was the story was dog shit, but gameplay, graphics-wise, it's like, it came out in 2015, almost 10 years ago. And in my opinion, the graphics in Dying Light 1 are still like boss hog. And sadly, Dying Light 2 sucks balls. Mainly just because the gameplay is it just doesn't feel the same. The combat's not as reactive, the parkour is worse, the graphics are worse, and the story just stayed bad, so whatever. Oh, but once again, I'm still enjoying fucking that new game from Donkey with Big Mode. What the hell's it called? Animal Well. There's just like so many secrets in that game that like whenever you find secret areas, it like rewards you for like using your brain to like creatively figure out how to like traverse certain places to get certain areas. And it does get a little frustrating at times where you have to backtrack certain areas to like advance, but that's kind of typical for Metroidvania style games. It's just a little bit tedious at times and you do get lost. What's your thoughts on Dead Island? I think I played a little bit of Dead Island. That was before Dying Light. And it was basically a nice little sort of foundational inspiration for what Dying Light became, but it's so sad to me that games are just overall going downhill, it seems like. You're gonna gift me a surprise soon. What are you gonna gift me? I cannot for the life of me read the Tolkien books, but love the movies. I mean, that's fair. I mean, they're long and they're tedious, but I mean, his writing is nice because he's just, he's like a poet, you know what I mean? Like, it's like reading sing-song, I guess, like as you go along, and it feels pleasant. Am I an indie horror game fan? Hi, by the way. Hello. I love indie horror. I'm hoping for my birthday here, Tuesday, June 4th, I'm going to stream, which is like 3 weeks from now. I'm going to stream some indie horror. I'll read some stories to get the stories done. Maybe I'll take an edible or some shit. I don't even know. And then play some scary games afterwards just to get spookered. But if fucking the scary thing for me right now is like Streamlabs has not been working. Like right now you can still see stuff, but that's the program I have to use to like switch screens and end the stream and all that kind of shit. And it's like the interactive part is like frozen, so I don't know what to fucking do for that, and that would be really lame if I'm trying to switch to something and I can't even show you guys it, But who knows, maybe I just fucking record stories the whole time and that'll be it. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. If you were given a choice to learn instant transmission or heal all sickness and wounds by getting a lifetime supply of sensu beans, yeah, I guess I would heal all sicknesses, right? Because that seems like way better than just being able to I'll just take a plane. Do you find Streamlabs tough on your PC? Sometimes I'll look at, let me look at, what the fuck am I even, Control Alt, Control Alt, wait, what? Oh, I pressed Control Shift. What the hell am I doing? Control Alt Delete. Task Manager. Streamlabs, yeah, it's like very high power usage, very high CPU usage. I mean, I guess I can't. I mean, which is kind of stupid because I get it. Like, it's the most important program running right now, but like, why is it very high? Like, why is something that's just like broadcasting or like recording a pre-existing program not like the lowest CPU usage thing in the system? You know, I don't know. I feel like it could be very optimized. Was cooking. I do like playing Overwatch, but at my place I only have max. I need a gaming PC. Oh, interesting. I'm sorry that you even had to like experience it at all. I don't know how you could casually enjoy a shit game like that to be when you go into Australia. I'm leaving about a month from now, June 21st, and I will be there I'll come back like July 9th or something, I think. I'll have to double check. You like playing games? Alright, that's fair. Would you rather get eaten by a bear or piranhas? Well, I don't think piranhas actually eat you unless you're dead. I've heard that they're mainly just scavengers, and that's why people find them with, like, if somebody dies in the water, then the piranhas. That's a tough question, honestly. Because, like, a fucking grizzly bear will sit there and eat you while you're, like, screaming alive and just, like, pulling out, like, bits of your asshole and wiener. I don't know. I don't even want to entertain that question. It's too scary. You tell your friends from Australia to track me down. Don't do it. No, don't do it. I'm gonna try kangaroo steak. Yeah, I'll try anything, I suppose. You watched the doc on grizzly attacks? Yeah, dude, fucking hell, man. Like, at least with black bears, they're usually skittish, unless it's like a mama. But even then, you should be able to like fight it off, or you know, try to scare it away or whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. I saw this video. They were on the road. There was like a huge fucking like gap, like a little bit of a river gap, and then like a big barbed wire fence. And I mean, they must this female grizzly bear with her cubs must have been like a solid 50 yards away. You know what I mean? And it wasn't even like looking at them, and it all of a sudden just like freaked out, turned to them, looked at them, sprinted full pelt, and was somehow like spread eagle, dove through the barbed wire fence and like started sprinting towards their car and shit. Like in like one foul swoop. It was like the most athletic thing I've ever seen a 1,000-pound creature ever do. There's a story over now. My voice is tough. Thanks, dude. I try to be. Try Vegemite. I've never tried Vegemite, but I'm down. Would you rather be Mr. Satan or Krillin on your next life?
Krillin. Whoa, Goku. Yeah. That sounds weird.
I don't know. Does that sound like Krillin?
Mr. Satan. Yes. Goku.
I don't remember what he sounds like. I'd probably be Krillin because he can do the Destructo disc and just chop people's heads off. The local Wallies, what's that? The Wallabies? There wasn't just one set of human remains found out there. There were two, and neither of them belonged to anyone called Ron. Then, seeing as the two bodies were found in one of the shelters out there by Stevens Creek, the person calling themselves Ron was in fact the case's #1 suspect. On the insistence of the deputy, this prompted me to search my memory for any instance of Ron mentioning places or people or things, just about anything they could use to pin down his whereabouts. And I had nothing. Our exchange had been brief and really unexciting, so with... Whoops. I had nothing. Our exchange had been brief and unexciting, so with regret I informed the deputy that I could no longer really assist them. And that was literally the last thing I had heard about the bodies that were found out near the creek. Every so often, in the years that... Dude, I saw this thing with P. Diddy, right? Where, like, he was on footage beating up his girlfriend and whatnot. And then he releases a video where he, like, apologizes on Instagram Live or YouTube or whatever. But I'm like... I was just like, wait a second. He's apologizing? First off, whether or not people would, like, welcome him back into the fold of producing entertainment. Because we all loved Diddy before, right? You know, like... I don't even know who fucking gave a shit about Diddy prior to all of this shit coming out, but like everyone's like, oh, it's okay. He's changed his ways. But if you even let alone that, wasn't the guy on the run for like human trafficking and like very serious like federal crimes and shit like that? So I'm like, did he just kind of like skipping that part and going right to the like, I apologize, guys. I hope you can allow me to join back into the realm of producing YouTube content, Let's Plays, and streaming. Like, I just have no idea what his fucking plan is there. Like, is he not wanted right now? Is he not like hiding out at Epstein's Island where he can't be extradited? Like, what, that he like even has the balls to come out of nowhere and be like, hey guys, so he has a ukulele ready. He's like, I made a mistake, and a lot of people want to say some shit, talk some shit. I mean, it is hilarious. Like, what is he thinking? Like, hey, Interpol and the international community of criminal justice, I know that what I've done is probably warranting of at least 140 years in prison, but sorry, we're sorry. I apologize. I made one little mistake. Diddy had Biggie murdered? That would stink. I thought that was Pop Smoke or whatever. It is kind of weird to think that there's like these big names in like the rap industry, and it's literally like entertainment. But then they're just like casually killing people and beating blackmailing people and raping people. You know, they're just like so bad. What the flick? He thought he was untouchable, which is strange. Like there must have been someone above him, and he's sort of like a fall guy for something else. I just cannot imagine Diddy operating independently without like for this long, without there being like a network, you know, of individuals that partook in his illegal activities. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just go that long without other people being aware of it, and then eventually when shit does pop off, like, he has to be like the patsy for what's good. Not necessarily the patsy, but just like the fall guy in this scenario. Did you ever watch BMF? No, what's that? Ellen DeGenerate. Every so often, in the years that have passed, I've searched the web in the hopes of finding something, anything to help enlighten me on what exactly happened out there. But every time I've tried to practice the not-so-ancient art of Google Foo, I've heard it referred to. Google Foo. But every time I've tried to practice the not-so-ancient art of Google Foo, as I've heard it referred to, I've come up short. I think I'm just fishing for details, pieces of information to fill in the blanks, but deep down, I think I understand what happened to me that day up by Stevens Creek. I think I narrowly avoided falling victim to someone's terrible... Whoops. Google Foo. Google Poo. I think I narrowly avoided falling victim to someone terrible. Not a bear or a mountain lion. A man. And I think someone was walking the woods that day when I got that creepy feeling. Someone who ended up making victims out of two innocent people. And I think only by the grace of God did I avoid that very same fate. Am I reading emailed stories? Yipper. But I guess they're found by an editor and edited for grammar to a degree. Alright, last story. Oh my god. I can't even click the be right back thing or it will fucking glitch. And what kind of music do I listen to? I like all of it a lot. I like it all a lot. But sometimes I really like just like experimental electronic shit. Just because it takes my mind somewhere that it's never really been before. Like, Boards of Canada type stuff. Alright guys, well I can't put the be right back screen on them, but I am going to, you can talk amongst yourself. How much you like answering the same questions? It's whatever. I'm just used to it now. It's no big deal. And if somebody ever asks like a question that you've heard before, feel free to answer them. I love you guys. I'm graduating from college next semester with my bachelor's degree in biology. Hey, congrats, Angela. Congratulations. That's awesome. But yeah, I'm going to go eat my magnesium. I will BRB. What time is it? 11:36? Yeah, maybe I won't eat anything. I was going to eat some actual food, but... yeah, BRB. Birdie, no! Birdie, no! Ah, ah. They're all yellow. Oh shit. Sorry guys. That was funny. Okay. Look at the stars. I only drink water from a cast iron ball trap. I don't know, just think about those people who like say they don't drink. Don't drink from plastic bottles. It's gonna make your testicles ugly. It's like, I don't care, bro. They already weird looking. Let's go all the way. Man, I'm so upset actually that maybe somebody can look it up. It doesn't really matter that much, but how to fix this OBS situation, because if I want to stream later and like actually stream games or fucking react to shit, it won't be possible if the program don't work none. You know the song See You Later, Boards of Canada? I think so. I would play it right now for you guys on the stream if I actually had somewhere I could place it. Unfortunately, this current one. Oh yeah, I know this song. This song is good. Very good song. Yeah, Boards of Canada rocks, dude. I wonder if somebody like would rap over top of Boards of Canada style beats. If that would be natural or not, like, or if it would sound natural or just sound really weird. You're killing Mother Gaia. You're killing Mother Gaia. Don't do it. Alright, what am I doing? Okay, yeah, we're gonna read a story that is a true crime related one. Napping from 2 to 5 every day is freaking awesome. Yeah, but does that fuck up your like sleep later when you go to bed at like 10 to midnight and whatnot? Don't you feel like not tired and therefore not really able to get like a full night's rest? Way back in May of 1995, a 29-year-old truck driver named Defuck. What's up, y'all? It's me, Defuck. Devin Eugene Williams was living in Americus, Kansas. Where are you from? Americus, Kansas. Yeah. Americus. Can't believe how fast the weekend left. It was quick, wasn't it? Huey Lewis in the news? Damn straight. Way back in May of 1995, a 29-year-old truck driver named Devin Eugene Williams was living in Americus, Kansas with his wife and 3 young children. Having just moved into a brand new family home, Devin's wife would later say it was the happiest point in their marriage. But beneath the surface, something terrible festered and unfurled. Devin was described by friends as a patient and good-natured young man, but just weeks after beginning an exciting new chapter in his life, he disappeared without a trace. On Sunday, May 28th of 1995, a 48-foot, 10-ton, 18-wheeler semi-truck hurtled through Arizona's Tonto National Forest. The roar of it... Ever thought of reading while impersonating someone? Yeah, we've done that a few times with some silly voices. Who would I impersonate? I never have ever done anyone else's voice. What's up, Carter? Carter the Farter, as they say. On Sunday, May 28th. Wait, where were we here? The Roar. Oh, yeah. Jack Yarrington. Number 14. You can do a good Cartman.
Yeah, kitty. My papa.
Reading Destiny's voice. Okay. He pretty much sounds like Ben Shapiro, but... what's he say? I mean, the roar of the engine, so loud. Two campers named it. No, I can't really do it. I don't even know what he sounds like, man. It don't matter. Can you do a hi? Oh, yeah. Hi, sisters. Hi, sisters. You're probably wondering why I'm in jail. Funny story. But doesn't matter. We made some makeup in the back of the toilet. It's delicious.
Cookie Monster. Cookie Monster. The roar of its engine was so loud that two campers named Lynn and Jack Yarrington temporarily halted their hike to see what all the commotion was.
Destiny got divorced. I feel kind of sad, but I think everyone expected it. Yeah, I mean, it didn't seem like a very good relationship. Looking at it from the outside, it's like if you let two people, whenever they're together, I mean, it's none of my business, you know what I mean? But I'm just looking at it from my perspective. Like, if you allow your partner to go have sex with other people, there's going to be complications along the way. Yeah, that's pretty much all I can say. It just was illy thought through, I suppose. Can I do Pooh Bear?
Oh, bother. The roar of its engine was so loud that two campers named Lynn and Jack Harrington temporarily halted their hike to see.
I sound like I can't help but do the fucking Pennywise bullshit though. Having sex with someone not your spouse causes problems? What? Mickey Mouse.
Oh boy, the roar of its engine was so loud that the two campers named Lynn and Jack Yarrington temporarily halted their hike to see what all the commotion was.
Do a, oh yeah, baby, in Penguin's voice. Oh yeah, baby, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Alright, everyone, listen up. The roar of the engine was so loud that the two campers named Lynn and Jack Yarrington temporarily halted their hike to see what all the commotion was. Turned out that they were getting smacked around like Tweety Bird against fighting Mike Tyson. Do bear pooping. Daffy Duck.
What's the big idea?
I can't really do Daffy Duck. I don't even... No, that's Donald.
Suffering succotash.
I don't even know. I can't even remember his voice.
Alex Jones. Listen up, everybody. They're coming to... Got a meme laying around here somewhere that perfectly encapsulates my idea.
I can't really do... I'll sometimes do like the kind of cadence or whatever, but I'm not very good at impressions. I just do them like 6 out of 10 pretty much each time. Like just sort of the general idea, but not like really spot on or anything. Kind of like an annoying uncle that thinks he's funny. Mike Tyson with the lisp. Oh no, my kitty, sometimes my cat, he goes crazy. He just starts like scritching and scratching. It's ridiculous.
Jack Sparrow, sometimes
Pretty comes out of nowhere and just was grabbing things and said to myself, "What are you doing, Pretty? Are you crazy or what? Are you nuts?" I sound more British and annoying rather than whatever the fuck Jack Skellington. Nixon. Oh yeah, Nixon was. I'm not a crook. He's a dog now. So long, dental plan. Welcome back for 11 months. If you had to choose one nation's food to eat for the rest of your life, I go with India. I'm not Indian. One nation's food. I really like Mexican food and sort of South American food. I guess, like, it just seems consistent, you know, it's all kind of the same mush shit, and I kind of like, but I like all the variations of it. Italian's really fucking good. But yeah, well, you know, I was gonna say Japanese shit, but Japanese is okay. It's definitely, like, sushi and stuff I could do without. Like, I enjoy sushi, but it's not, it's a lot of it's, like, very bland, I suppose. Do a Mormon voice. Dun 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 dun. Can you do lemon grab? Who's that? Never heard of him.
Beetlejuice. Yep. Know what I mean? Hey, where you going with all that ass? Oh, double cheeked up on Thursday afternoon. Yeah.
Wait, okay, who, I keep seeing Rick Grimes, but I keep forgetting who Rick Grimes is. Is that from Walking Dead? It is from Walking Dead. I feel like his voice is very, I'm going to hear it and it's going to be very normal. Oh my god, people make fucking, like, music video tributes to this guy. Granted, I guess he's been around for 20 years.
Machete with a red handle. That's what I'm going to use to kill you.
Whatever. I don't know. I mean, it's a lot easier, obviously, to do, like, very unique voices, because all you have to do is, like, get kind of the concept. But there's the one guy, he used to be on Mad TV, I think. What the fuck was his name? But he is, like, actually bonkers at, like, impressions. He'll, like, figure out a person's voice in such a short period of time. Peter Griffin.
Take me, Master Splinter. Oh, I made a funny.
I don't know. I do hope this animation channel has some success, because it would just be fun to, like, yeah, Frank Caliendo. Thank you, Sam. Yeah, Frank, if you follow his Instagram, he is, like, bonkers at fucking doing impressions of people. It makes me wonder if he does any voice. I mean, I assume he does voice acting, but, like, you know, actually is part of, gets roles and stuff. That'd be awesome. When will I drop the animations? Well, we got 2 in the works right now, and it might take some time. I really do hope to get it working with Dacon Animations, just to get him working on something, just so we can have, like, 3 really strong showings out the gate. It's not that we won't, not that we'll release them on top of each other, but I mean, what would be like a solid release schedule? I'm not really sure. Oh yeah, the tall homeless guy with the golden voice. Hello everyone, it's me, Markiplier. Oh yeah, Ari Spears' stand-up comedy is really fucking good. Like, I'm actually surprised. Like, all of his crowd work, he's funny as shit, dude. Whatever happened to my other channels? I had an ASMR channel, it didn't work out, or just didn't have the time or interest to really put effort into it. And then my other channel, which was just my clips channel, that one didn't work out there, you know. And it makes sense, because, like, nobody wants to go, like, watch the same shit. I was just kind of hoping to, like, somehow capitalize on the individual stories being of worth. I still really wanted to take the true crime stuff that I've done, recorded in the past, and make individual videos on that, but I couldn't really find anybody that wants to edit, that actually is, like, good at editing. What do you mind? Wait, Joel, do you mind? Do you mind what you're doing with the Snuggie, sir, going blinky mode? What?
Sir, going blinky mode.
I'm about to take a rip off my blinker. The roar of its engine was so loud that two campers, named Lynn and Jack Yarrington, temporarily halted their hike to see what all the commotion was. They approached the nearest highway, then seconds later, spotted a speeding 18-wheeler recklessly careening back and forth along a stretch of road it was most certainly not suited for, and all at breakneck speed so fast it sent a shiver down the Yarrington spines. Another group of hikers, this one traveling by car, suffered a hair-raisingly close call when the same 18-wheeler drove head-on at them, following a chance encounter on the highway. The hikers... Fuck. My face got itchy. Another group of hikers, this one traveling by car, suffered a hair-raisingly close call when the same 18-wheeler drove head-on at them, following a chance encounter on the highway. The hikers were able to swerve out of the truck's path and each avoided sudden and violent deaths, but later stated the truck's mustachioed. I was not expecting the word mustachioed out of nowhere. Just pull that out of your pocket. My mustachioed friend. What type of cat is Pradeep? He is black. He's a black guy. The hikers were able to swerve out of the truck's path, and each avoided sudden and violent deaths, but later stated that the truck's mustachioed driver had remained disturbingly expressionless despite narrowly avoiding his own complete annihilation. Later on that day, a group on their way to a picnic spotted the stationary truck, which by that point had swerved off the road and become stuck in a field. After stopping their vehicle, one of the picnic group climbed out of their car and asked the truck driver if he needed any help. The driver's reply was as chilling as it was confusing. "They made me do it," he said, as if answering a question that hadn't been asked. The Good Samaritan, a man named Charles Hall, reportedly asked the truck driver, "Who made you do what?" To which the driver replied in a panicked voice, "No, you can't help. No one can. I'll never get it out of there. I'm going to jail." When Charles heard the word jail being thrown around, he realized that he might have stumbled across something deeply sinister. He agreed to leave the truck driver alone, but later contacted the local sheriff's department, speaking to a Deputy Wells regarding the man's suspicious demeanor. When Charles heard the word jail... Oh, okay. Yeah, deeply... Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So my colleague went to Korea and came back with a whole new face. Nose job, eye job, facelift, black eyebrow tattoos. I sit across from her and I don't know where to look. Yeah. Yikes. Honestly, yeah, I hate plastic surgery shit so much. Like, I hate fake tits. Well... I guess if they've been destroyed by childbirth and you feel better with them, more whatever, sure, that's fine. But I don't really like big old fucking jugs, you know what I mean? Like in the sense of like surgically implanted ones. Like that seems like such an overkill and more of a burden on you. But like I really, really do not like fucking plastic surgery of the face, because it's not even like, I remember the old saying from Bill Burr. He was like, would you rather look like, a normal 60-year-old woman, or would you rather look like a 27-year-old lizard? And it's so true. It's like when you see someone get plastic surgery and they've had it done, like it never looks good. It never looks good. Like they need to, their own, like, and the weirdest part is it feels like they've been stuck at fucking like tier 1, like generation 1. Like in the past, they're like, oh, we need to treat delirium and overall general hysteria. We should probably do a lobotomy and remove part of your brain. But eventually they're like, they moved on and science has changed and things have moved forward and now we have antibiotics or something like that. I don't know. But like with fucking plastic surgery, it's like they've never moved past that. It's like you see someone show up to work and it's like they've had a lobotomy and they're drooling from the mouth or something, and you're just supposed to be like, looks good. Looks really good. You look great. Just like 20 years younger. But then it's like their like lips are like bulbousing out of their face, like they've just been, you know, had a fucking suction cup on them for like 3 hours, like a little kid. I don't know. It just doesn't work. And like I think that there's got to be like some degree of like mental illness in the underlying aspect behind the person to like think that it does look good, but when it's like so blatantly like some other fucking Halloween costume. Yeah, like when their lips look like they both just got stung by a fucking bee and they're allergic, like just permanently. Like that, you didn't need that. Like whoever convinced you that injecting your face with like a strange colloid concoction was like the go-to move. I almost feel like it just gives it away, you know, like you never not notice it, you know. But I guess there are some times where it's a lot more subtle, you know, and it does work, I suppose. What's his name? That Jeremy Fragrance guy on Instagram. He's so funny. He had like some post where it's like a picture of the dentist like with his mouth like spread really far wide open with like his like bright white teeth, and they're, you know, doing some sort of cleaning or whatever. And it's like I gotta read it. It's so fucking funny, dude. Just the grammar is so bad, but I'm like, yeah, that, you know, makes sense. Shit, sorry. Got my porn open here. Put that away. Do. Jeremy Fragrance. Wait, no, he didn't delete it, did he? Come on, Jeremy, you jerk. You big silly goose. Damn it. Anyways, it was just like the worst grammar ever. Granted, he is German and whatnot, but you think you could just like run that through ChatGPT or even Google to like fix it. And it was like, I don't believe that people should ever do plastic surgeries, because once you do, you will start to think that people only like you because you've had the plastic surgeries, and therefore need ever continuous plastic surgeries, which creates an inappropriate loop in your brain or something. And then at the end it's just like, but getting your teeth whitened is okay. It's just like him getting his teeth. Oh, this is so fucking funny. Part of the surgery was changing her ethnicity in a way, like to look more Western. This is a 46-year-old woman. I wonder about her mental health. Her new face is not an improvement. Oh, yikes. Yeah, it's scary. I know that sometimes, like, that's like part of the culture over in like Asian cultures. I don't know if that's what they are, but they like prefer or like, you know, admire someone who looks a little bit more Western or whatever. I don't know. Whatever, it's their body. I don't give a shit. Bree, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you. How's it going? You worked on a botched project referencing the show. Oh, okay, cool. Russian guy injects synthol. Yeah, the synthol shit's fucking fucked. Also, I didn't realize, what's his name? He was like that bodybuilder. It was like, what's up, you motherfuckers? Like he always swore all the time. Rich Piana. I used to love watching Rich Piana's channel. And I'm fairly certain that he did like synthol injections into his like biceps and stuff, which, you know, they definitely looked pretty unnatural, like even more so than, steroids and whatnot. They looked odd almost. But then I come to find out from one of his like lifting buddies that like one of the reasons he died wasn't even necessarily from his steroids, but which, you know, will have a negative effect on you. But he was like using like really hard drugs, like meth and like opiates and all sorts of shit that just, I don't know. He just like needed something at all times to like be addicted to, which is sad. Need to do more dark web type videos again. You know, I hope to, but the last one got like age restricted because of talking about suicide, so it's just like, fuck, dude, do I even bother? Like, do I even waste my time doing... Granted, you would, just don't do a story about suicide, easy fix, but I don't know, I kind of like worry that doing too much of those kind of puts like a red target on your back or something. When I get paid, I'm a donor. I just wanted to say you got me through graduating high school, man. Listen to your videos all day while doing school. Just saying thanks for the hard work. Thank you, Ryan. Good to see you, and congrats on graduating. That's awesome. Do more dark stories, so interesting. Yeah, those ones, I mean, it was a mixed bag in the responses. Like, some people really liked hearing about, like, the probably, in my opinion, one of my darkest, like, most morbid videos as far as true crime goes and stuff like that. But other people were pretty frustrated and, I guess you could say, triggered by all the dark topics, even though there was, like, 4 warnings before the fucking video began. So it's kind of your fault for stumbling onto a fucking horror channel, clicking the video that says warning, this has topics that are going to make you cry, and then me literally saying at the beginning, like, warning, this, so it's just like, how many fucking, like, trigger warnings do you fucking need? And even so, if, like, something upsets you or whatever, like, wouldn't the blame solely fall on you as your responsibility? Like, why would you blame the person you're watching? Like, you made the entire choice the whole time to experience it. I don't know, it's just so weird, people's, like, mentality. He agreed to leave the truck driver alone, but later contacted the local sheriff's department, speaking to a Deputy Wells regarding the man's suspicious demeanor. Much like the campers, the deputy was confused as to why such a large vehicle would drive along unsuitable forest roads. That sounded strange. Probably a parent that's child listens to this. That's fair, because, like, some of the Reddit stories are, like, tame shit, like, someone left that good comment where it was like, Let's Read goes from reading about somebody being, losing electricity at an Airbnb and getting COVID to talking about people getting their nuts fucking chewed off. It is kind of a jump, I suppose, in content quality, or content variety. I got a great voice for CB radio, thanks.
Bree, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content.
Thank you. He agreed to leave the truck driver alone, but later contacted the local sheriff's department, speaking to a Deputy Wells regarding the man's suspicious demeanor. Much like the campers, the deputy was confused as to why such a large vehicle would drive along unsuitable forest roads and went to investigate. Upon his arrival, he discovered the semi stuck in deep mud within a meadow not far from Forest Service Road 137 in the Buck Springs area. Once Deputy Wells looked inside the truck, he discovered the cargo within undisturbed and intact, 1,200 boxes of lettuce and strawberries with the refrigeration still running. The vehicle appeared completely abandoned and the cab had been firmly locked. Deputy Wells checked his national crime computer and learned that there were no reports submitted for either a missing truck or a missing driver. He also later stated, upon peering through the window of the truck's cab, he noted the interior was well kept and there was no indication that any foul play had taken place. Later that day, Lynn and Jack Yarrington were driving along Forest Service Road 321 when they came upon a man standing among some trees at the roadside. According to the Yarringtons, they stopped their car, only to see that the man was kneeling on the ground, staring at a tree, and appeared to be mumbling to himself. The couple said it was impossible to make out exactly what he was saying, and after Jack asked if the man needed any assistance, he replied simply, "I've got to light the grill." Moments later, Jack watched as the stranger produced a $20 bill from his shirt pocket. The stranger then picked up a rock, held the bill to the ground, and began striking it with a stone, as if attempting to spark a flame. Deeply alarmed by what they were seeing, the Harringtons returned to their car, only to have the stranger scream unintelligibly before he hurled the rock in their direction. He then appeared to stumble into the Yarringtons' direction, prompting them to immediately flee the scene. Only later was the strange man confirmed to have been the truck driver, Devin Williams, and sadly, it marked the last time he was ever seen alive. When he failed to stick to his delivery schedule and confident in the belief that he'd never willingly abandon a shipment, Devin's coworkers reported him missing. Investigators began to track Devin's movements leading up to his disappearance and learned he'd left his home on May 23rd, heading west on a route that he'd taken many times before. He successfully delivered his haul to California, reloaded his truck for his trip back to the Midwest, and then had a brief conversation with his boss, Tom Wilson. Wilson later stated that everything seemed fine and that Devin wasn't acting out of the ordinary. He was punctual, seemed lucid, and gave no indications that anything was wrong. A few nights later, on the evening of Saturday, May 27th, Devin arrived in Kingman, Arizona. He would call his boss for the second and final time, ensuring him that he'd make it to Kansas City on schedule, but added an eerie addendum when he complained of insomnia. His boss reportedly asked if he'd be able to complete his journey, but Devin once again assured him that he'd be fine. Yet according to police reports, Devin never even made it out. I keep making a noise with my nose for some reason. I'm worried it's getting picked up.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Sunday, Sunday.
If you're a gamer and like Smash Bros, don't mind a game with original characters, give Brawlhalla a try. I've been playing it 8 years? Oh wow. And won't be stopping anytime soon. It's pure fun. One of top recommends. Interesting. Surprised I haven't heard more about it. There's a what's the one with Shaggy in it and the characters from Warner Brothers? I heard that one was pretty good, and then they came out of alpha or something and is now fully released or whatever. Is this the dude that went on a bender spree through the national park in his rig? Kind of sounds like it so far. He's saying sounds like they found him in a state of being in a stupor and being crazy. But then it also sounds like here that he was in a state of insomnia as well. So who knows? Maybe he was on meth and goes fucking crazy. Do you drink tea or something for your voice before you read? I do drink some tea as starting up the stream. But I didn't even finish this one. This weekend was a wild ride. Wait. Who called? Wait. This has been such a difficult week, so I'm just in and out of chat. I'm so thankful for you all. I helped care for a 97-year-old lady with severe dementia. Oh, okay, that's who went crazy. Okay, she's actively down. Oh, I'm sorry about that. She accused you of stealing her kid. Okay, at first I was I thought you working as a babysitter or something and somebody accused you of stealing or something like that. But an old lady makes sense, I suppose, but it's still sad and unfortunate. He did the Terry voice from Rick and Morty. Terry? Which one's Terry? Oh, jeez, Rick.
Morty.
Scary Terry.
Welcome to your nightmare, bitch. Ugh. I'm Scary Terry.
It's interesting how they do the pupils in Rick and Morty. It always seems like it's just a blotch, two blotches, rather than circles. Do you still encounter having bloopers in your videos that slip through editing? Sometimes, yeah. Not super often, though. Yeah, Aeon stealing kids. Oh, shit. I probably shouldn't drink soda while recording this. Yet according to police reports, Devin never even made it out of Arizona. Arizona missing persons detective Bruce Cornish would later state that he and his team were completely flummoxed when it came to Devin's potential fate. He was neither a criminal nor a drug user and had no... He was neither a criminal nor a drug user and had no history of mental health problems prior to his disappearance, meaning easy explanations were hard to come by. This led many to theorize that Devin's disappearance was entirely voluntary, with some pointing to the fact that certain personal items had been removed from the truck. Nevertheless, authorities mounted a large-scale search for the missing trucker, utilizing foot patrols, search dogs, off-road vehicles, and dozens of civilian volunteers. God, why did my voice crack at the most random times? I gotta stop smoking crack. Puberty. When you shit for the first time, you're going through puberty. That's so funny. Nevertheless, authorities mounted a large-scale search for the missing trucker, utilizing foot patrols, search dogs, off-road vehicles, and dozens of civilian volunteers. Search teams were told to look for scraps of clothing and even bone fragments, but despite days of searching, not a single trace of Devin Williams was ever found. This also made for a chilling anomaly, as up until that point, the Scottsdale-based search and rescue team charged with recovering his remains had yet to wait, what? Or I guess like as you're potty training, you're going through puberty. That would be funny too. Has he gone through puberty yet? Oh, you mean know how to shit in a toilet? Not yet. We're still training that. You should try drinking lemon water with cucumber. That does sound yummy. Sounds very crisp. Hey, Sally, my man, with a 5. Gift of Roonies, 2. Evan Murphy, Honeycomb Heart, Britt, Rachel Renecki, and Mischievous Frog. Thank you, Solly. Welcome, everybody.
Mischievous dog.
You now have access to bonus content in the bonus content playlist.
Mischievous dog.
Sliced cucumbers and tie-in is our good comment. Damn, that shit goes on everything, huh? Yeah, here we are.
Mischievous dog.
This also made for a chilling anomaly, as up until that point, the Scottsdale-based search and rescue team charged with recovering his remains had yet to come up short in the course of a long-term search. Devin's disappearance marked the first time that they'd failed to bring home a missing person, either dead or alive, which, to many, was as eerie as it was perplexing. 2 years later, on May 2nd of 1997, 2 hikers were tracing the bottom of Gila County's Mogollon Rim job. Gila, make sure I'm saying that right. The Rilla, ghost-faced Gila, 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 oh, with an H, Gila from H3H3. Gila County's Mogollon. Mocajon. What? Mogollon? Mogollon. Mogollon. 2 years later, on May 2nd of 1997, 2 hikers were tracing the bottom of Gila County's Mogollon Rim when they stumbled upon the remains of a human skull. Dental records would later confirm what many had first feared. The skull belonged to the missing trucker, Devin Williams. Although the skull had been damaged, a coroner determined that it was impossible to conclude if this was the result of a deliberate, violent act or the result of scavengers consuming a corpse following an otherwise accidental death. Some suggested the erratic behavior Devin displayed was the result of a diabetic episode. Others argue sleep deprivation or mental illness were to blame. Some even purport that Devin was the victim of a slow form of carbon monoxide poisoning following a leak in his truck's cabin, but to date, no such theory has been irrefutably confirmed. Devin's wife, Mary Lou Williams, still longs for a day when explanations of her husband's fate will be beyond dispute, but she also stated that with each passing year, the hope of seeing such a day slowly and painfully decreases. Mary Lou has said that back when her husband was listed as a missing person, the lack of conclusive answers caused her children terrible suffering. Yet the discovery of Devin's skull brought only a sliver of morbid closure to the family, as many questions still remained. For example, what caused Devin to stray so far from his intended route? And if his state of mind was affected, what exactly caused such a catastrophic mental break? However, some suggest that Devin was well within his right mind when he swerved his truck off the road, as prior to his abandonment, he ensured the cab was locked. Unless Devin suffered some kind of rabid mental breakdown in the space of just 2 to 3 hours, then something frightening. Joel seriously said my brothers and your birth dates in the same story. Maybe this is you. Maybe you're Devin. You've gone crazy, man. Wake up. Unless Devin suffered some kind of rabid mental breakdown in the space of just... Probably rapid, right? If you watch Doctor Who, the tentacles remind me of Alien 465. You know, I'd never seen Doctor Who before, to be honest with you. Unless Devin suffered some kind of rapid mental breakdown in the space of just 2 to 3 hours, then something frightened him so badly that he did things that most would consider to be highly and unhealthily irrational. Some say fear can drive a man to madness, in which case, what was Devin Williams so deathly afraid of? And could it possibly explain why his broken skull was found just a few years later, less than a mile away from the spot where he disappeared? Wake me up, wake me up, wake up, wake me. All right, we made it, guys. We have made it. Sadly, I wonder if I can click that. No, even the end stream button is. I'm just gonna have to fucking close out the program or whatever to end it. Dude, I gotta figure out why it's busted. Maybe we can at Streamlabs and be like, what the hell? What the hell is going on here? Why isn't your product working perfect for me at all times? It is kind of inconvenient, though. Rather inconvenient. Woohoo! All right. Where's the outro? There it is. What day am I streaming next? I forgot for some reasons. So the next stream, the next stream will be Wednesday. So I was referencing June 4th, since that's my birthday. That's a Tuesday, as like a stream day in the future, like 1, 2, 3 weeks from now. But as of the next stream, it will be Wednesday night around like 9:30 p.m. But yeah, we're done pretty quick. Oh, I can't even see the time because it's frozen. Fucking lame, dude. But I'm just gonna read this outro. You guys gotta... Thank God that screen still works. I'll just be talking to nothing the whole time. You guys gotta think of something funny for me to say. Oh, I'm sorry, Hannah. And remember, pull your belt tight. Your belt tight. Oh, okay. Hey friends, thanks for listening. That sounded weird. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday and Thursday at 7 p.m. EST, and there are super fun live streams every Sunday and Wednesday nights. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit, r/Let's Read Official, or over email, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks for members of the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories in big compilations, and they're located anywhere you listen to podcasts. All links can be found below in the description. So thanks so much, friends. And remember, hey friends, it just starts over, yeah. Have fun going through puberty. Yeah. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, I now just went through puberty. You love me? Thank you. Appreciate that. I appreciate that. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out tonight. Sorry for not having the Be Right back screen around. Jeez Louise. But yeah, unfortunately I can't do the outro because it's fucked. It makes me really mad. I hate technology, dude. It's so freaking stupid. But otherwise I'm just going to have to exit the program, which should end the stream, I do believe. But I hope you guys have a great night. You can get early access to all the audio and support the channel over on Patreon. It's only $1 a month over there for early access to all future recordings. As soon as I get the audio edited over here on my computer, I will send it over there on their computers, and you'll get it before everybody else, at least by a few hours. But what mic do I use? You're hearing me right now on a Neumann TLM 103, and then I record into an H4n Pro microphone. They're stacked on top of each other right now with one on the left side mic arms, one on the right side mic arm. It's kind of a sweet little setup. But yes. Oh, hey, Terry, what's up? But yes, love you guys. Appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out. And yeah, I will now Control-Alt-Delete my way out of this situation. You should be able to do that in real life. But I guess that's like a gun, right? Just kidding. Wait, did it is it still going? Can you guys hear me still? It didn't end. Oh, that's so funny. I just let out like a disgusting fart. Huh. How the fuck do I end the stream? I closed out of the goddamn program. I'm stuck in here. Someone help me! Please! Please! Huh. What the fuck? What does one do? One of us. Fuck, dude. That's quite odd if I do say so myself. I don't even know how to get to like my live. Oh wait, here we go. View live control room. Wow. I had to go all the way in here to like end it. Interesting. So OBS closing out doesn't just end it. Yeah, is this purgatory? Dang. I was hoping that it would have ended on a funny joke, but now it's, well, this is kind of funny too, I guess. I guess I'm just stuck here forever. No. I wonder if I can masturbate. Fuck! I don't even have a cock. in fucking digital world. This sucks. Being an AI voice. Alright, maybe I'm gonna click this button and see what happens.